time. So we cannot be held responsible for this delay now, because we are not responsible for these dockets being taken away.
The ANC's first Deputy Secretary General, Nomvula Mokonyane, has refused to be drawn to comment on the Patriotic Alliance's threat to withdraw from the GNU next week. In a Facebook post on Tuesday, Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie said if his deputy Kenny Kunene is not reinstated as the MMC of Transport in Johannesburg, his party would pull out of all coalition agreements with the ANC. Mokonyane declined to comment on that issue, as well as Police Minister Senzo Mkunu's failure to appear before the ANC's Integrity Commission on allegations of political interference made against him by Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi.
What you have heard on social media from Gayton McKenzie, the ANC has got channels to interact with the Patriotic Alliance. Same as it goes with Comrade Senzo, there are processes, and I think we need to be given a space, and they must also be given a space. Everything is under control.
The High Court in Polokwane, Limpopo, has heard that Princess Masindi Mpepu's parents were not married. The applicant's lawyer, Advocate Alan Dodson, cross-examined a member of the royal family, Angela Mpepu, who was disputing the applicant's evidence earlier this year. The princess testified that her mother, Folufelo Ramese, was married as a Tsekiso wife chosen to bear an heir to the throne. Angela Mpepu had this to say during the cross-examination.
We are very proud. The champion is here in our town. We're happy.
A large crowd has gathered at the Grand Parade in Cape Town to celebrate the Proteas Test cricket mace. It has been over 3 months since they lifted the coveted mace at Lord's to win the ICC World Test Championship. Tuesday's Powerball Plus of over 69 million rand has not yet been claimed. Ituba, the operator of the National Lottery, says the winning ticket was bought at a store in Mpangeni on the KwaZulu-Natal North Coast. Ituba CEO Charmaine Mabuza has urged everyone who bought lottery tickets in the store to check them urgently. Mabuza says to claim the prize, the winner must present the original ticket at their nearest Ituba office. The former director, James Comey, says he doesn't fear a criminal trial after being charged with making false statements to the U.S. Congress and obstruction of justice. He called fear the tool of a tyrant. In 2017, President Trump fired Comey shortly after the FBI had placed Trump under investigation over his election campaign's links to Russia, something the president called a hoax. Trump was asked about the case at an Oval Office news conference.
I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. I can only say that Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI, but I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Recapping the top story, crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo is expected to testify before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria on Monday. I'm Mondela for SFM News Lines at 3:30.
In sports this hour, Oxenchair ruled out of Pumas clash. Baby Proteas all set for a tough semi-final, and Chiefs and Pirates head back to continental competition. More details at 3:30.
Greetings, South Africa. My name is Walter Steenbok, SABC Sport football analyst. My favorite African dish, pap and mohodu. My top 3 holiday destinations will be Thailand, followed by Cape Town, and of course Zanzibar. Yeah, between a train driver and a pilot, I'll really choose to be a train driver, because I'm on the ground. It's very, very safe, and I hate heights. Between fruits and veggies, I think I like fruits, especially apples. I love to kick penalties against between Sipho Chine and Ronwen Williams. I'll choose Ronwen Williams because I'll put it right in the middle. I saw over the weekend.
Do not miss out on electrifying football analysis on Match Days with Walter Koyoko Steenbok. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
So you thought you were building a business? In this economy? Good luck. But day by day, somehow it grew. You became payroll, procurement, PR, and pressure valve. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. What's that saying again? What doesn't kill your business makes it stronger? Or at least it should be that. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
So I got into the SABC today via an Uber, and I sort of do it once a week or so anyway, right? And today I've told you about these conversations with Uber drivers. So today my Uber driver, and he said, hey, you can use my name. His name is Takalani Emmanuel. Now why I say that is because I jump into the car and he's on SAFM listening in, and he's like, hey, you that Ashraf, isn't it? I said, of course, yeah, thank you. So we talk. But here's the bottom line to why I'm telling you this. He's saying, he spends a lot of time in a car as an Uber driver. And the only way he can keep up with the big changes in our country every single day, including the Madlanga Commission, is by listening to SAFM. And it's a lot better than listening to music and just listening to something rather trivial. The point he was making was that when we talk about, leading the conversations that move us as SAFM, we do lead those conversations. And from his side, Takalani, it is a daily learning process for him, sort of learning while he's driving, literally learning on the job. So that's, I'm bringing that up because this is the National Pulse. And if ever I needed, a reason for being on air and being aware of the impact that we make to people around the country, around the world, Takalani's response to me was just that. So Takalani, hope you're listening. I'm sure you are. Thank you for listening in. But to everybody else, whatever your name may be, whether it's Takalani or AB or Zwedi or Musa or Caroline, welcome to the show. This is the National Pulse. My name is Ashraf Garda. 3 hours of reflecting on the biggest issues in the country starting now. 086 000 2032 to call in live. We'll take your calls. Not now. We'll have reaction about 3:20. And then to WhatsApp, it's 0614 104 107. And that's voice notes as well as, text messages that you can send, right? Okay, we have a fabulous guest coming up after 5 as our fireside chat guest. She used to be part of the Mayoral Committee for Transport in the city of Joburg. Not now, that's been a while back. So the word Ria Vaya may well come up in my conversation with her. I wonder if you know who it is. But let's start with the Madlanga Commission. So Friday, early end today, pretty early, in fact around 12 o'clock-ish or so. It's day 7 of the Madlanga Commission inquiry. And the NPA's Director of Public Prosecutions for the KZN division, that's Advocate Elaine Harrison, took to the stand to give her testimony. Now, the Commission, as you know, is trying to get to the bottom of corruption and malfeasance claims made by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner in Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, right? In fact, he made those allegations or claims in July, remember? And that set it all up, right? So let's. I want you to just listen in on some of the key moments of today's testimony.
As the Director of Public Prosecutions for KwaZulu-Natal, I have considered the political task team as an essential and necessary structure for the province of KwaZulu-Natal and the country as a whole. This is so as the team was precisely aimed at dealing with politically motivated and related crimes that gained momentum and threatened to destabilize the province and to spiral to other provinces.
Now, when did you first hear reports relating to the disestablishment of the task team?
During December 2024 and January 2025, I was on leave. So during January 2025, I then, through the social media reports, I came to learn about the de-establishment of the task team. And at that time, I thought it was fake news. So I was on leave.
So you initially thought it was fake news. When you returned from leave, what did your opinion change?
After I returned to the office in January 2025, I was informed by Advocate Gaba, the dedicated prosecutor who's responding to the task team matters, that the social media reports may be well true, because the team had been informed by General Kumalo only to continue with matters that had been enrolled or were waiting for decision.
Now, have you ever formally been notified of the disestablishment of the task team?
At no stage was any formal communication addressed to my office notifying us of the de-establishment of the task team.
I want to take you now to a letter that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi addressed to you in May 2025. And that letter is at page 244 of the separate bundle that you have. So if you can go to 244.
Found it.
You're ahead of me, Advocate Harrison, unfortunately.
Sorry.
You have found it? No,
Yes.
I've now found it too.
Okay.
Can you, first of all, can you confirm that you received this letter?
I confirm so.
And can you read, it's a very short letter.
Let us name these, the file with the DPP's statement. Let's call that Harrison 1. And
Chet is already part of MK 12, so we have it on file. In fact, this bundle that Advocate Harrison has is MK 12.
I am actually, and I brought Mkhwanazi too, and I thought that's what we would refer to. And but I do see this small bundle here, so it's on that basis. It's on that basis that I thought you are going to be handing this up, unless we then refer to the
page numbers in MK 12.
In MK, yeah.
The witness and I have prepared on those page numbers, so let's just keep it. If it's all right with you, Chair, then we can keep it at MK 12.
Let's refer to the relevant MK then. Yeah.
So. On page 244, you've confirmed you received this letter from Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. It's a very short letter. Can you just simply read its contents into the record?
Thank you. It's addressed to myself as the Director of Public Prosecutions in KwaZulu-Natal. It is dated the 22nd of May 2025. It is headed Political Task Team, Prosecution Guided Investigation, Failure to execute J50 warrants. This office wishes to apologize for the failure in executing J50 warrants in dockets among 121 case dockets that this office has discovered to have been delivered to Pretoria due to a telephonic instruction received by the political task team leader. It is an unfortunate situation that this office became alerted on 2025-05-20 in a docket accountability session to the fact that all prosecution guidance since 25-03-26 has not been addressed. This office assures the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution that the whereabouts of these dockets is being investigated and the findings will be brought to your attention. Kind regards, and it's signed off by Lieutenant General, Provincial Commissioner KwaZulu-Natal, N.S. Mkhwanazi.
If we can then go back to your statement, first of all, can you confirm that this is the letter that you refer to in paragraph 12 of your statement?
I confirm so.
And just to go back to the chronology, this letter you've recorded was dated 22 May 2025. When had you first heard of the disestablishment of the task team?
As I've indicated, through media, it was floating on social media from about the 3rd of January.
So this was approximately 4.5 months after you first heard of the disestablishment or the alleged disestablishment of the task team.
That is correct, Council.
Now, you note in paragraph 13 of your statement that the letter did not refer to the disestablishment of the task team, but rather to the removal of dockets.
Correct.
And in paragraph 14, you refer to frustrations. When you received this letter, can you explain these frustrations to the Commission?
Thank you. Firstly, there had been no formal communication to me about the de-establishment of the task team itself, other than what I saw on social media. Secondly, Lieutenant Jerome Mkhwanazi had not addressed the de-establishment of the task team in his letter. He had referred only to the removal of the dockets. Thirdly, an enormous amount of work had taken place to ensure the necessary coordination by providing a dedicated prosecutorial team to address all the challenges that had historically been raised in responding to the work of the task team. And fourthly, news of the disestablishment emerged at the time that all of the work that had been put in was clearly bearing fruit, and the coordination was producing the desired results.
You responded to Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi's letter. If I can take you to page 195 of the MK12 bundle.
Naked.
Right, so I tell you what, that's one part of it. We're going to continue talking about and reflecting on some of the key moments of today's testimony up to about 3:30. I did say I'll take your calls now. No, we'll take it just now. But you can send us a voice note anytime now, by the way. A reminder, so that conversation I had with the Uber driver, let me put this to you as well, right? So the Uber driver said that he listens to this, to SAFM and to the National Pulse, because it's invaluable learning for him when he's in the car every day. Now, here's my question to you. Why do you listen to this show? What do you get out of it? What's your big takeout every single day? I don't mean a specific moment. I mean in general. And if you'd like to share it, I'd like to hear from you. To call in when we do open the lines, 086 000 2032. To WhatsApp, it's 0614 104 107. Right, let's continue just reflecting on the Madlanga Commission, and we'll do that right after this.
September is Deaf Awareness Month, a time to celebrate the deaf community, promote inclusion, empowerment, and break communication barriers. Let's listen with our hearts and not our ears. Learn and embrace a South African Sign Language. Join us throughout September for commemoration events, activities that educate, connect, and inspire. Visit our website, foundationnima.org, for more information. This is an SABC-supported initiative.
So we do know that the Spar Baby Proteas are playing in the Netball World Youth Cup in Gibraltar. We also know they're in the semi-finals, right? So the event proper ends on the 28th of September. Oh, I so wish they can get to get all the way, isn't it? Now, these are, of course, are our rising stars. Hashtag Together We Rise, brought to you by the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, let's continue with some key moments from today's Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, being day 7. And you've heard the voice earlier on from the Director of Public Prosecutions for the KZN region, Advocate Elaine Harrison. Let's rejoin.
Can you confirm that was your response?
Commissioners, I confirm that this is my correspondence and my response to General Mkhwanazi.
And in paragraph 1, you refer to your correspondence dated 22 May 2025. Is that the letter from Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi that we just saw?
That is correct, Counsel.
Can I then ask you to read the first 3 sentences of paragraph 2 of your letter?
Kindly take note that the purpose of this correspondence is related to the issue of whether the political task team continues to exist. There have been a number of media reports whereby it has been noted that the political task team has been disbanded. Should I continue?
Sorry, and the third sentence?
There has been no formal communication to the Office of the National Director of Public Prosecutions, as well as my office on this issue.
And probably also the fourth, which emphasizes the point.
It is of concern that this office remains unsure of what the correct position is regarding the existence of this team.
Is there anything you would like to add, to elaborate on what you're saying there?
You know, there was a bit of frustration at this time because there had been a lot of work that had gone into responding and getting coordination from the NPA side in the province towards the work of the task team. So when I started off in this way, it's because General Mkhwanazi had said nothing in his correspondence regarding the, in his letter dated 22 May, he had said absolutely nothing regarding whether you say disbandment or de-establishment of the political task team. And yet I already had information from the director who was, the deputy director who was heading the section. So you can understand the frustration that there was, and it was all on social media. Nothing was coming from him.
Can I ask you to go to the next paragraph where you refer to Advocate Xaba? Is he the deputy director to who you just mentioned?
Yes, he is the Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, who is the overall portfolio holder for the political killings task team cases.
And what had he informed you?
Can I read what I've noted in the letter?
Certainly.
Thank you. I engaged Advocate Xaba regarding the contents of, that's just responding to that. Advocate Xaba had informed me, as I indicated, that he had informed me that what they had been told by General Khumalo was that they will only be dealing with the decision dockets that they had and will also be dealing only with the court-going matters. They would not be taking in any new matters.
And then if we go to the top of paragraph 190, page 196, can you read what you have written there and explain the significance of it to the Commission?
In 2026, there will be local government elections. We are aware that all elections are often preceded by violent political activity. This consists of murder, attempted murder, assault, criminal injury, malicious injury to property, etc. being committed. The modus operandi differs in that it may involve members from the same political party against each other or between the different political parties. And the reason I say this is clearly in KwaZulu-Natal, we see that every time that there are elections, this is the norm that happens in KZN. And it was a forewarning that in going towards the next elections, which are going to be in 2026, that we can expect that there'll be some spike of political activity, violence within the province. And I was worried, as I said, I was worried at that stage and a bit frustrated that no one is coming out to tell me what is the correct picture regarding this letter that had now circulated in the media.
Thank you. In the next sentence of the letter, the next paragraph, you speak of being requested to provide dedicated capacity to respond to the political task team. Can you elaborate on that?
Upon my assumption of duty in the province upon my assumption of duty in the province as the Director of Public Prosecutions in May 2019, acting at the time, my office was approached by General Khumalo, who requested for dedicated capacity to respond to the political task team. Basically what had happened is that at that time, my predecessor had nominated Advocate Slepe, a Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, to manage the portfolio. As the work increased, obviously then being on his own, he was unable to deal with all these political cases that were being brought to him. And as a result, General Khumalo was requesting for a dedicated capacity. In other words, he wanted a number of prosecutors to be allocated to specifically deal with these matters.
Okay, so that's just some of the aspects we've picked out from today's testimony, which ended pretty early, around even before 12 o'clock, in fact, right? Right, what about you? Let's get your reaction. In fact, now I can take it right away. So to call in, 086 000 2032. But let me tell you, it's not exclusively only about the Madlanga Commission. If you wish to comment on other issues, including a debate about the Paul Kruger statue, by the way, you may want to touch on that too, and other things as well that you feel you'd like, that you want to pick up on. There's many things around the world that are very, very topical. This is the National Pulse. Let's get to the calls. Lenius, we'll get to you after this.
You are listening to the National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
Right, Lenius, what's good talking to you? What's your point?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. You know, I'm sure you are very clear that I'm the General Secretary of the civic movement, the SANCO.
I know, we've chatted often. Yeah,
that's correct. And, you know, we really work very hard for the good of communities in the country. And when we have this spate of crimes being meted against sometimes ordinary people that have got no knowledge, and we really do have the pain in the heart. Now, if you have the NPA in the KZN going all out and made men and women available to assist in order to get rid of crime, and then you have some individuals that are actually counter-revolutionary.
All right, but can I push you, Lenius? I mean, Lenius, with respect, I just want to get one quick comment from you. It's not a full-on interview, as I'm sure you'd understand, right? So just one quick comment, please.
I'm saying it pains when all men and women have been made available to assist our communities with crime, and then some other individuals do otherwise.
Well,
it pains a lot.
I agree with you completely, and you know, that's the conversations we're all having in our own spaces, like what is going on here. Lenius, thank you for that. Let's get to Denelton now. Around the country we go. Tebogo, you put Denelton on the map by calling in. Hello.
Hello, Ashraf. How are you?
Good indeed, right? What's your point?
I don't have any problem. I just wanted to tell you as to why I love listening to SAFM.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I love listening to SAFM because you guys, you make it easy for us to understand what's really going on and around us. You know, especially politically. There are things that the information that we deprived of. Because when we listen to your normal radio stations, your Tavera FM, they just summarize everything in 5 minutes, and you still want to hear as to how this happened. And
okay.
So,
well, I mean, look, the reality is different stations have different genres or platforms, and they do things differently. Obviously, we have a huge accent on, you know, current affairs, news and information, and that's what we deliver, right? Yeah? Yeah, Tebogo, I think we've just lost him. But thanks for that. Tebogo saying why he listens to SAFM. Thank you for that. We'll get to Simon also as a view. We'll get to that just now about what is it? What's the big fix for you that gets you hooked on? As per my conversation with the Uber driver who says, hey, the learnings are immense. 3:30, here's the news headlines.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the news headlines, South Africans will now have an opportunity to have a say on how the country's parole system is managed. The revamped approach, which is set to focus on legislation, policy, strategy, planning and operations, is expected to be completed by May 2027. Crime Intelligence Boss General Dumisani Kumalo will be the next witness at the Madlanga Commission on Monday. This was confirmed by Chairperson Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga at the conclusion of today's proceedings at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria. And the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has warned that Tehran will scrap an agreement to let the UN nuclear watchdog to inspect its nuclear sites if Western powers reinstate sanctions. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
One northbound has a crash before Boysons Road, the N14 westbound in Diepsloot, a crash near the R511 exit in Bedfordview, the N3 northbound slow moving on the ramp to the N12 east at Gilulis interchange, and the N3 southbound slow moving towards Van Buren Road. In KZN, the N2 southbound has a stationary truck after Mgeni Road, the N3 westbound a stationary truck at Key Ridge, and on the N3 westbound a stationary vehicle after the Pavilion Shopping Centre exit. In Cape Town, Cromboom Road eastbound slow moving through Rondebosch East, Victoria Road outbound is slow moving through Woodstock, and the N1 outbound queuing towards Okavango Road exit. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Right, to me, it's a Springbok rugby weekend. You've got all the, a significant team news change, right?
I do. A very good afternoon to you, Ashraf, and our listeners. Well, the Springboks have been forced to make a late change to their team for tomorrow's Rugby Championship test against Argentina in Durban. Rookie prop Boan Venter, who has just 4 caps to his name, will move into the starting team from the bench. This is after Ox Nche was ruled out of the match due to an injury niggle. Marco van Staden has taken Venter's place on the bench, and he will serve as a hooker cover, with Jan-Hendrik Wessels among the replacements as a prop. Now, the Boks go into this test on the back of a big win against New Zealand in Wellington, while the Pumas beat the Wallabies last time out. In cricket, India and Pakistan will face off in a high-stakes Asia Cup final in Dubai on Sunday, with political and on-field friction overshadowing their first-ever title clash in the regional tournament. Pakistan secured their place in the final after edging past Bangladesh by 11 runs yesterday, setting the stage for a blockbuster meeting with defending champions India. Meanwhile, in football, Soweto Giants, Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates, they back in continental club competition action this weekend, seeing to or hoping to take a step closer to reaching the group phase of their respective competitions. Pirates should have little concern as they host DOD from neighbouring Lesotho at Orlando Stadium, already 3-0 up from the first leg. But for Chiefs, there'll be plenty of nerves as they look to fight their way back from a 1-0 loss to Cabo Scop in Angola last weekend. With the away goal rules still in effect in confederations of African football competitions, Chiefs cannot afford to concede either, or otherwise they will make their task even harder for themselves. Then in netball, next up for the baby Proteas in the Netball World Youth Cup is a high-stakes semi-final clash against 4-time world champions and current silver medalist Australia this evening. And Mthembu acknowledges the caliber of the oppositions but remains confident in her squad's ability to rise to the occasion.
We need to shift our performance to our next level, preparing what starts tonight with the girls' recovery, ensuring that the mental and physical states are ready to go. I have a great medical team that will take care of them. We respect the quality of the opponent, but, we're really confident on our system, and just want to thank everyone at home for supporting the girls. And, this team has really shown that we play with heart and discipline. We really can compete with the world's best.
That's Baby Proteas head coach Precious Mthembu. Meanwhile, Baby Proteas assistant coach Phumza Maweni says that she's happy that the team stuck to the game plan throughout their 4 fixtures and looks forward to seeing the same positive attitude in the semi-finals.
Andiyazi ukuba ndingathi ndiziva kanjani adlale kakuhle kakhulu amantombazana. Sisaqhubeka siya kuma semi-finals apho sizodinga yonke imilenze ihlale izilungiselele. Ndiyazingca kakhulu ngalamantombazana.
Maweni basically saying that she's very proud of the girls. I'm also proud of them. As you can see, Ashraf, today I'm wearing a netball jersey. This is actually the 2023 Netball World Cup jersey, but I don't have the Baby Proteas one as yet. However, I am supporting them fully tonight.
Okay, you want to describe it for us?
It's very colorful. It has a South African flag in the middle, and it has is this orange and purple on the arms.
Well, it's orange, burnt orange, yeah.
Yeah, burnt orange and purple, but in the middle you can just see that South African flag there.
Yeah, and of course it's got a net there, as in netball.
Netball,
yeah.
Yes.
Very, very colourful.
I mean, it's not the Baby Proteas one, but still, we're still supporting them nonetheless.
It's aspirational because the Baby Proteas will become the big Proteas one day.
Yep, absolutely. So wishing them nothing but the best with their game today. On that note, it is a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
I work at Optima College. We offer distance learning solutions.
How is it that OUTsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible.
Yeah.
You're helping people to do better, and OUTsurance is doing better for you.
Definitely. If OUTsurance will not be able to beat your current premiums, remember there's that 500 Rand that you could get.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
Tell me, what brings you and OUTsurance together?
You know, Jacques, I've been battling to get a nice car insurance, man. Someone that can give you nice service. Whenever you call them, they're there for you. You know, OUTsurance, I found them. I'm saving a cool $360.
Why put yourself through the pain? Be like Jermaine.
Yes, be like Jermaine and sign up with OUTsurance.
Get the real deal with the real savings.
Yes, there we go. I made the right move.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
My name is Tabo Senong. I'm a football coach and also a SABC Sport football analyst. Besides football events, what do I like attending? It's got to be definitely seminars, workshops. If I was not coaching football, tough one, but I'll consider coaching athletics. My favorite African song, I'll definitely go for Shosholoza because of its historical significance. What I like about SABC Sport, it's got to be the SABC Sport Extra show because it's very brief. It allows viewers who have busy lifestyles to catch up about the latest sports.
Catch the top-class football analysis of the beautiful game on match days with Thabo Bookworm Senong, live on Latuma. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
X at SFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
Right, what we're going to do, well, I'm certainly going to open the lines to your thoughts and we'll get further comment on some of the other big developing issues that will come up in a moment or so, right? But first things first, let's reflect then on what's happened regarding the testimony today delivered in the main by Elaine Harrison. And she made the point about, she thought when she heard about the news of the disbandment of the political killings task team on social media, she thought it was fake news. So let's try and understand what actually happened with what we'll do is we'll get to Professor Nirmala Gopal just now, right? Firstly, I want to get to some of the callers with Imbuyiza in Ladysmith. Imbuyiza, hi. Imbuyiza, hello. Right, now I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's get to Bongani if we can. I think we've got Bongani on the line now. Bongani in KZN as well. Hi, Bongani. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Bongani, right? Yeah?
Yes, how are you?
I'm very good. Go for it. What's your point?
No, it's about the GNU, man.
Yeah, what about it?
Success is not even... but now we got Zila here in Joburg. We've got another one, Mayor Hanif in Durban. And I don't believe that was GNU at the first place, man.
What does that mean? I mean, it doesn't stop people putting up candidates for different political parties. What are you suggesting?
6 years now.
Hey?
It's supposed to be control until 5 years. Now they divided like this now. I don't know what's happening.
All right. Okay. I hear you, but listen, even as part of the GNU, it didn't stop the parties putting up their own candidates for for political seats, as you now find out once again. Bongani, thank you for that. Right. Let's see. In fact, we've got Mbuyiza in Ladysmith. Hello.
How are you, Ashraf?
Yeah, good indeed. What's your point? You want to comment about the commission, right? Yeah.
You know, there was a minister called Nhlanhla Nene.
Mm-hmm.
When having the interview with one of the journalists, I think it's Goke,
Yeah.
when he realized that his name was mentioned there, he resigned immediately. Here is a minister. His name has been mentioned left, right, and center by the name of Mchunu. Ashraf, can you answer me? Why Mchunu makes Ramaphosa's work so difficult? We understand that there is a presumption of innocence. He has not yet been charged. Why this man can just take public interview just to resign and say that my resignation doesn't mean that I'm
listen,
of guilt.
it's not so much I must answer you. Why can't he answer us? I wish he could. And if he simply did what you told him or said something else, then we'll know, right? Maybe he'll say something after the weekend. You never know.
No, but he must resign, really, because, this is exactly, I believe that Nhlanhla Nene have set a good example, his colleague. Why can't he's staying, he's aware that his name is, is damaging really something. Whether it's currently is true or not, it has not been. I can tell you, all were testified, they would without proper homework.
All right. You made your point. Thank you for that, Mbuyiza. We go further across the country to the Eastern Cape just now, but for now we go to Zanin with Sir Prince. Hello, Sir Prince.
Good day, Ashraf. How are you?
I'm good indeed. What's your point?
Ashraf, my point is that me and you, the ordinary South Africans, we are in a deep mess.
Mm-hmm.
The road is too deep, Ashraf.
Sure.
I'm telling you, after this commission, the whole country will realize that we are naked. Ashraf, it can be that the top people who are supposed to protect us, they are sleeping with the criminals. Ashraf, what about me and you? What is going to happen to me and you?
What do you think is going to happen to me and you?
Ashraf, as I'm saying right now, Ashraf, we are very exposed. We are not safe at all. We are just in a country whereby we think we have got protection because we have got the rule of law, whereas I'm telling you, we are not safe at all. Because if a criminal can speak to the top police, a top cop, and they make deals, what about me and you, Ashraf, down here?
Yeah.
We don't have access to the top leadership. That means me and you, we are in trouble.
Hey, okay. Yeah, I didn't want to hear that on a Friday, but fine. I hear you, Sir Prince. Thank you for that. Me and you are in trouble. And I tell you what, as Sir Prince says, me and you, me and you, it's not just me and him, but it's me and you. And when he says me and you, it's not just him and I, but it's him and you too. Meaning that what he says, the frustrations, must be internalized by you. And I'm sure you're doing that right now, isn't it? Kaya in the Eastern Cape, go for it. What's your point?
Good afternoon, Ashraf, and also to the
Thank you
as well. My wish, Ashraf, for the president, which I perhaps know that that is not going to happen, but it's just a wish, that he could extend the work of this commission. On the socials, people are always asking themselves that why they don't know of any of the other provincial commissioners other than Mkhwana's, and it is clear now that it is because he's a man of ethics and integrity. And I also wish that, there could also be some investigations in terms of other political interference in other provinces, because I know that there is political interference. As you know that I'm calling from the Eastern Cape, I know one police station that is in my village. That the police actually, when they do the, some year ends, they ask for donations from criminals who are known to be, involved in stock theft. And that has made people to lack confidence in terms of laying charges in those police stations, because they know that nothing is going to happen, especially if you lay charges against, these people that are being alleged to be involved in the stock taking. So I also wish that the scope of this work could really be extended, because obviously it doesn't only end to what we're being exposed to now at this point.
But
So-
maybe
so
even if it's not extended, it could well be it should mark the beginning of a reshuffling of our cards on a national scale. It really has to happen, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, Kaya, thank you for that. We'll get more calls as soon as they come in. I see many people also commenting about why they listen to SAFM in particular, and I thought that learning point between myself and my Uber driver was just so important. Right, so we'll chat to, in fact, we're going to chat to Professor Nirmala Gopal right after this.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
Right, now the National Director for Public Prosecutions, Elaine Harrison, has confirmed that just like Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, she learned about the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team on social media. Now, she said this caused unexpected interruptions and it threw off her planning schedule. Let's recap on what was said today with Prof. Nirmala Gopal, the criminologist from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Prof. Gopal, appreciate you connecting with us on the National Pulse.
You're most welcome, Ashraf. Nice to be on your show again.
Much appreciated. Right. How would you reflect what in terms of some of the key takeouts for you today?
So I think it just really, it confirms and corroborates the evidence of the witnesses previously, the prior witnesses, that the decision to disband the PKTT fell outside the mandate of the national police minister. And I think it also highlights to today's testimony by Advocate Harrison the technical difficulties that they experienced prior to her office setting or associating themselves or coordinating with the PKTT, and the positive results that they were actually attaining via her office as well. So it's actually just telling us that this decision had no rational motivation.
And so that was one. I mean, and as you're saying, it confirms what we've been hearing about all week. It's evidence after evidence, damning evidence, so to speak, from different people essentially saying the same thing, right?
Absolutely. And I think, of course, what it's doing for us as South Africans is that it's telling us, I think it is not restoring, I think it's underscoring and undergirding our credibility in General Mkhwanazi's initial allegations, etc. But it's also telling us that he is such a credible, servant of the state. And all of the kind of positive attention that he has actually attracted I think is even more justified. And he is able to vindicate himself.
Okay. And, besides the actual content, a lot of the callers on the show are very interested in terms of how the different people who've testified, how they've come across. What did you think? How did Elaine Harrison come across today for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfair to compare all of them, but definitely when you compare Elaine Harrison and just in terms of it, okay, I think she knows what she's doing, definitely, but not very, for me personally, I don't think the inexperience came out a little bit.
Okay. What in terms of, just your overall thoughts, and I'm saying this because it's the last day of the week, so far, what for you has been a telling moment, not just today, but even on previous days?
So I think for me, the most powerful evidence was by General Mkhwanazi himself. But so that for me was the most telling, because here we heard under oath the truth, and the whole truth, but nothing but the truth, in as far as he had produced it. But I think the next bit that stood out for me was the National Commissioner's testimony. And, I think that was the testimony we were really waiting for, to either confirm or refute General Mkhwanazi's allegations. And definitely he confirmed it for us.
Absolutely. Let's leave it at that. Of course, we have a weekend to reflect on all that's happened so far. Professor Nirmala Gopal, criminologist from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Appreciate your time here on the National Pulse.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Good day, South Africa. Mark Haskins here, SABC Sport football analyst. My favorite meal between breakfast, lunch, and supper is probably breakfast, even though I'm very much a foodie, so I don't turn away food at any time of the day. I remember the guys used to sing Tula Mama, Mama, Mama. And then when we translated, it was like, really? You're telling your mom to be quiet? Is that really something you would do? What I love about South African football fans is really the passion. My favorite African dish, I would have to say, is mogodo. We call it pens and poikis because of my big calves. I've always been called potris. You know, just make sure you tune in, make sure you support the SABC. We will bring you the best local content and international content.
Catch the exciting analysis of the beautiful game on match days with Mark Huskins, proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
So, Taryn, you've just graduated cum laude, but nothing says you're a genius quite like selling your car to WeBuyCars.
Absolutely. My car was an 18th birthday present, and it's time to move on to something a bit more mature.
So, where did you hear about WeBuyCars?
All of my friends are using WeBuyCars. I would have had legit FOMO if I hadn't used them. And it was so quick. I did it on my laptop while sending around my CV.
Smart move, Taryn. Graduated and upgraded. WeBuyCars. Geared for success, geared for you.
Mzansi, play Powerball for a massive 90 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday, and you could win big, just like the lucky Powerball Plus jackpot winner who won over 69 million rand on Tuesday. The winning ticket was purchased in store in Mpangeni, KwaZulu-Natal. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
Right, so on the other side of 5, as you know, on the Friday we have the fireside chat, right? So my guest for this Friday, for today, is Rihanna, the barefoot facilitator. She played a huge role in the past in the development of Rea Vaya when she was part of the mayoral committee for transport in the city of Joburg. Of course, I may ask her about the city of Joburg anyway, because there's big question marks about that city, but also what she's doing right now and a whole lot more. That comes up after 5. Let's now talk about crime and cybercrime. Operation Contender, which targets criminal groups behind romance scams, has led to the arrest of 260 suspected scammers across 14 African nations. Now, the operation, which ran from July 28th to August 11th, so it ended last month, right, resulted in the seizure, listen to this one, of 1,235 electronic devices throughout the continent. Right, let's understand the story around this one with Andy Mashaila, the retired member of Interpol, security strategist, EXCO member of the International Cybersecurity and Investigations Committee. Andy, as always, welcome to the National Pulse.
Hey, brother, it's good to be with you. Let's rock and roll.
Much appreciated. But of course, when we talk to you, we often talk about, well, crime and, you know, things going wrong. But in this case, it's a case of things going right against things going wrong. Tell me more.
I am happy to say the leadership of Interpol and the cooperation of various countries. Let's talk about Afripol and Interpol. When there is cooperation, you have better resources as a country that tracks, combats, and prosecute or detect cybercrime. When you don't have a wonderful relationship with Interpol, the resources at their disposal becomes of a lesser value as a country. But when you work hand in glove with Interpol, you see these successes.
All right, so tell me more in terms of, first of all, the actual problem. I mean, when you find out there's there's a syndicate. It's an industry, right, where there's scams, romance scams, and what they're trying to do. Give us some story about what they're really wanting to do and how they were uncovered.
Let us begin with the cost of cybercrime in 2025. The cost of cybercrime worldwide is 10.5 trillion this year only. And the cost of cybercrime in South Africa annually, year on year, up to 2025 or 2024, the cost of cybercrime was 4.2 billion rand. Now, with the changes in the modus operandi of transnational organized crime, particularly your cybercrime unit or your cybercrime component of these national international syndicates, focuses on sports that are not easy for the police to hunt down and close down. Hence, they will look into Africa, and South Africa has been a better base of operation for these international cyber criminals. You and I would know of a place called Rivonia and Morningside. That's where you find most of the transnational organized crime syndicates in cybercrime, setting up offices and bases. I can drive with you to Sandton Police Station and we wait outside and you see groupings of foreign nationals coming to resolve their problems there because of sharings of the loot from the cyber crimes that were stolen by other cyber crimes. So when you look at the romance scams, that's where they make a lot of money. Old ladies whose husbands have died and men whose wives have died who have found love on platforms like Tinder and many of those things are easy pickings. And easy pickings meaning millions of rands and millions of dollars, as it happened 3 years ago. In Florida, a lot of women who were hacked and the money was dropped off in Cape Town. And this operation, the one that we're talking about, has been learning from the operation of your secret services, FBI, Homeland Security in the U.S., working with the Hawks and the cybercrime unit, being able to arrest 8 cyber criminals, you remember, down there, and 2 were arrested in Douglas Day. So this operation is actually a continuation of the focus on romance scams because a lot of people have been hurt.
All right, just the last thing then. So we know that 1,235 devices have been seized, right? And that can only suggest that there must be so many more. I mean, this is what we know, right? How large is this industry, and what therefore is your biggest advice to me? But you got 30 seconds just to answer that.
Yeah. A lot of devices exist. A lot of call centers in India are set up like your offices there where people are scamming. Advice, don't visit these dating sites and put in your personal identifiable information, number 1. Number 2, stop clicking on the links that says there is an inheritance that someone has left for you. Number 3, stop clicking on these links that have bit.ly as a result, as a passage into you claiming 5,000 from one of our biggest supermarkets, which tends to be 50 years of age. When you look at the real URL, you realize that it's bigshop.co.za. But when you look at the links that come through to you at bit.ly, direct you to a third party where your information is going.
Okay, very important, yeah. So when you're talking about Bitly, which obviously then shows off slightly differently, one has to be very careful ultimately who's asking you what. Thank you for your time, Andy Mashayile, on a day where, 1,235 electronic devices effectively seized as part of a Operation Contender. Interesting one that looks at romance scams around the African continent. Let's get the news now. It's just gone 4 o'clock.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the top stories, a new approach on SA parole system, and Iran warns it will scrap agreement with UN nuclear watchdog. For SFM News, I am on Delamban, and a very good afternoon. South Africans will now have an opportunity to have a say on how the country's parole system is managed. The revamped approach, which is set to focus on legislation, policy, strategy, planning and operations, is expected to be completed by May 2027. This follows the conclusion of the two-day National Parole Review Summit at Kgosi Mampuru Correctional Facility in Pretoria earlier this week. Correctional Services Minister Peter Groenewald says in the previous year, the country had 209 people who had committed murder while they were on parole. Another 330 parolees committed rape. The Correctional Services Department Singabako Ngumalo.
Once approved, it will then find its way to Parliament for the final sale. So, as a department, we're looking forward to a parole system that will make it a point that we have a system where the gaps that we had in the past have now been solved, whether it will also involve a new act altogether or a legislative review. I think that will all depend on the final product.
Crime Intelligence Boss General Dumisani Khumalo will be the next witness at the Madlanga Commission on Monday. This was confirmed by Chairperson Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga at the conclusion of today's proceedings at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria. General Khumalo, who has led the PKTT, is a central figure in the commission, which is looking into corruption and political interference in law enforcement agencies. Justice Madlanga has confirmed Khumalo's appearance on Monday at 9:30 a.m.
For the record, Mr. Shaskalsin, it has been reported to us that the issue of General Khumalo appearing in court on Monday, Magistrates Court, has been resolved with regard to his appearance before us at 9:30 on Monday.
Yes, Chair. I have. I have consulted with both the prosecutor and his legal team, and I understand that it has been resolved.
That is the position.
ANC First Deputy Secretary General Nomvula Mokonyane has celebrated the life and times of the late struggle stalwart Winnie Madikizela Mandela at an event at Polar Park in Thokoza, east of Johannesburg. Mokonyane visited a house that was used to hold secret meetings for Madikizela Mandela, which is now used as a daycare center. Together with members of the Gauteng Women's League, they handed over a donation, blankets and linen. She urges those from her political home to keep the latest stalwart's legacy alive by serving the people.
The renewal of the ANC also includes appreciating and embracing those that played a role, and particularly the unsung heroines. You can't lead them if you don't love them. And we are teaching those that are coming after Nomzamo to say, love them, be amongst them, live amongst them. And when it is time to cry, cry with them. When it is time to mourn, mourn with them. When it is time to celebrate, celebrate with them. Don't only come to them to seek a vote.
Residents of Daverton in Ekurhuleni say drug abuse is wreaking havoc in schools. This emerged during a drug rehabilitation campaign that the Gauteng Social Development Department embarked on in the area. The aim of the campaign is to track the progress of former drug addicts who have completed the department's drug rehabilitation programs. The Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has warned that Tehran will scrap an agreement to let the UN nuclear watchdog to inspect its nuclear sites if Western powers reinstate sanctions. A set of UN sanctions on Iran are due to be imposed tomorrow. The BBC's Anbar Hassan Elrijan has the details.
The International Atomic Energy Agency has been trying to rebuild cooperation with Tehran and resume inspections of its nuclear facilities after Israel and the US bombed the sites in June. But European diplomats believe Iran is not giving full access to UN inspectors. The Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met his British counterpart Yvette Cooper to discuss the issue on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly meeting in New York. The sanctions could hurt the Iranian oil and banking sectors. Iran has described the move as unjustified, illegal and irresponsible.
Recapping the top story, South Africans will now have an opportunity to have a say on how the country's parole system is managed. The revamped approach, which is set to focus on legislation, policy, strategy, planning and operations, is expected to be completed by May 2027. I'm Ondilambana for SFM News Headlines at 4:30.
In sports this hour, Cricket South Africa board looking for lasting legacy in 2027 World Cup. Pirates sweating over Lebohile Mofokeng's fitness ahead of DOD clash, and Fritz beats Borges to advance to round of 16 of Japan Open. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N1 northbound in Pretoria, queuing towards the R21 highway. The M2 westbound in Crown has delays towards Main Reef Road, and the M1 northbound in Braamfontein, queuing towards Empire Road due to roadworks. In KZN, the N2 southbound is where a crash as well as a stationary truck reported after Umgeni Road that's queuing traffic. In Cape Town, Voortrekker Road westbound in Goodwood, slow moving at the N7 Jakes Havel Drive junction. The N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound is slow moving towards Hospital Bend, and Strand Road eastbound in Stickland, slow moving at the R300 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
With misinformation and disinformation around us all the time, where can we turn to for news and information that is not fake? Radio, of course, your number one trusted source of reliable and truthful news and information. For over 3 decades, we have been a signatory to the BCCSA Broadcasting Code of Conduct, and we pride ourselves as a trusted source of information. Say no to false news and disinformation that circulates online. Radio, keeping it real and fighting fake since day one. A message from the National Association of Broadcasters.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
I suppose if I ask the question about from others, why do they listen to SAFM, and as per that Uber driver is like, I need to learn all the time. I think for myself as well, I mean, ordinarily, even if I was not part of SAFM, I would be listening, and I have always listened to the station because of just the important takeouts every single day. And I do find that my time is less devoted to, watching like trivial things like listening to music, but something that has to drive me in terms of current affairs issues. Now, just talking about that, Sherwin Bryce Pease tweeting, saying mass exodus of diplomats from the United Nations General Assembly Hall, including South Africa's ambassador, as Benjamin Netanyahu arrives to deliver his address to the General Assembly. I'm not too sure how many people, but I understand there was a huge number of all these delegates or diplomats at the United Nations who just walked out as he got to the podium in protest. And, whichever way you want to look at it, there's no question, if you look at the South African example, the shift in terms of how South Africa, historically apartheid South Africa, was seen, and how that shift then occurred over a period, to a large degree that is happening to Israel, because the levels of protest against them right now has reached, I think, levels that are unprecedented. I think they are. And this mass walkout, not everybody, but this large number of people walking out, is another reflection of just that. Okay, let's get to local politics now. So we announced a few days ago, well, not we, the DA announced that Helen Zille was going to stand for the mayorship, as a mayor candidate for the city of Joburg, right? Well, what about elsewhere? Now, there's a clear plan here ahead of the local government election for the different parties to get their act together, right? So the DA has now made another announcement, this time confirming that Hanif Hussein is the DA's mayoral candidate for the eThekwini region for next year's local government election, right? So with me then, let's talk to Hanif Hussein. Appreciate your time and thanks for connecting with us on the National Pulse.
I appreciate you having me, and good afternoon to everybody listening.
Thank you. Of course, now, before you get asked by your party to be put up as the mayoral candidate, you have to say yes in the first place. Give us maybe the backstory in terms of the conversations that took place that led to you saying, yes, I'll stand.
Well, you're absolutely correct, Ashraf, and it's also a conversation that I have to have with my family and people around me. But I'll tell you what was the motivating factor for me. I've lived here in the city all my life from a little boy. My family is here, and I really love this city. I mean, I've had the opportunity to travel other places. But nothing beats coming back home to Durban. I do believe it's one of the most beautiful places in the country. Just unfortunately, over the last 15 to 20 years, things have deteriorated so badly. I used to be a councillor in this municipality a number of years ago when things used to really work. And the situation that we find ourselves in the city of recent, I mean, there are communities that go for weeks on end without water, and this seems to be a problem in many other municipalities across the country. We have water shortages every single day in different communities, and largely because there was very little investment in the infrastructure here. And the city of Durban is wasting about 60% of its water into the ground, and yet the residents have to pay for that. And of course, the rest of the country, they all know that when it came to the festive season, Durban was the place to be. But of recent, our beaches are full of sewer. The sewer systems no longer work properly here, and it's all flowing into the rivers and into the ocean. It's affected our tourism so drastically, and so I think what I've been seeing in the city over the last few years has motivated me to actually stand up and actually do something, especially because I have the experience of being involved in the city, and I could see firsthand how things are actually starting to fall apart.
And what do you think are the qualities that you have or that you need to, you have to do two things. You actually have to first win the mayoral vote, right? And then, if you do, then to deliver on that. So the what happens afterwards comes after winning the mayoral vote. What are the qualities you're going to bring in to this race to ensure that you are able to convince an electorate to vote for you and your party?
I think one of the most important qualities is just honesty and putting the interest of our communities first. And yes, I agree with you that we have to win the elections first. But I'll tell you what, Ashraf, there's something amazing happening in our country at the moment. Voters have had enough of the promises. I think they've had enough of racial voting blocks. They're more interested in competence and getting the job done. And more, wherever we go, large groups of people get behind the DA and say, look, can you help us to actually save what's going on? And I think the reason why we're in that space is because we have a track record, that wherever we were given the opportunity and voters put their trust in us to lead a city, we've turned those situations around in every single opportunity that we've had where people have given us their trust. We don't steal people's money. We put that money to work, and we try and build and make progress so that we can build a better future for our children and the families who live here.
Let's then talk about the plan. I mean, unlike the huge conversations we've had in the past about Cape Town, where the DA mayor, the DA leader in that case is the mayor of that city, and in Joburg, where you don't have a DA mayor, but you certainly have a push for that, and there's a sense that because of the numbers, the DA may have a very good chance of actually winning that mayoral election, right? The situation in the KZN or Tegwini region is very, very different, right? What then is your strategy in terms of garnering the votes? Because you're not nowhere near that at the moment.
Well, over the next few months, we're going to be making sure that we go to every single person, as many as we can reach, from one end to the other, campaigning, going door to door, engaging with civil society. We've had a number of civil society groups, ratepayers, residents associations, many of whom have already approached us to say, can you guys please help to save the city? Things are just falling apart. So we're not going to sit back and do nothing. We're going to campaign. We're going to campaign hard. We're going to take our message to every single corner of the city, make people realize that you can sit back and you can watch what's going on. You can complain every single day, but nothing's going to change if you don't invest the time and effort in actually changing the direction of the city. And I'm sure it's possible. And you have a city here, like in Durban, that doesn't bother to collect about 40 billion rand that's actually owed to the city. It tells you what a bad situation that we're in. When you have a city that's spending 120 million rand on all sorts of parties and functions, and it's just crazy. I mean, just a few days ago, there was a report here on how the municipality spent 2 million rand in the Women's Day event just feeding some of the staff. And the city manager has the nerve to say, well, it could have been 3 million. That was the budget, but we only spent 2 million. And they celebrate that. And yet you have millions of people in the city, thousands of people living in informal settlements who just have no hope that things are going to get better. At some point, this madness has to stop. And at some point, somebody has to say, look, let's change the direction now that the city is moving. And I'm really convinced that people have just simply had enough. They want to make a change because not too long ago, we contested a by-election in Ward 64, where you had people from all across different communities, different demographics, different language groups, actually got behind the DA, and we won overwhelmingly. And that, I think, is an indication of the mood in the country. I think we see it all over on social media. More and more South Africans are realizing they've been lied to for far too long, and they want to go out and vote for competence. That's what I think matters to them.
Now, you know that I think if you asked me, I would confirm simply on the basis of the huge numbers of calls we get every single day on the show and throughout SAFM, that people are very, very frustrated and very dissatisfied with let's call it the absence of service delivery in many regions, including your region. So I think we're all on side with that. What we're not clear about is who should be in charge in fixing things up. Now, there's a sense, and I understand the DA's position regarding what's happened in Cape Town, but there's a sense still, and it's come up even last week with the Helen Ziller candidature for Joburg, that the DA doesn't come across convincingly in terms of being able to speak to the masses, which happen to be black and not white. That doesn't mean you mustn't speak to the whole country, but you have to speak. If you don't touch the masses in terms of your communication line, there's a disconnect. And there's this ongoing sense from many people that the DA is not doing that. How would you address that?
I think the mistake we make very often, Ashraf, is we make the wrong assumption that what black people want and what white people want is different. I think all of us as South Africans want one thing. They want their governments to work. And so if people want to put their trust in an organization, in a political party, the number one thing that they must look for is a track record. Because politicians all the time will make all sorts of promises about what they're going to achieve. But very few of them actually have their track record to prove that they've done it. The difference between what the DA offers and what other political parties offer is we've got the evidence to show that we've changed things around wherever people have given us the opportunity to do so. And that's why we are spending every moment of our lives talking to South Africans to say, stop standing back and complaining and watching what's going on. Just put your trust in an organization that has the track record to change things around. And we want to do it for the betterment of our country, for the better future for our own children, so that things don't have to continuously fall apart. And you're right, I pick it up all the time on social media, wherever I go, in the news. People are just fed up of what's going on. And the cause of that is that those people have put their trust in the wrong people.
Well, I mean, but you see, here's the point about when you say track record, right? Track record around, effectiveness at certain community level. I think yes, one can't argue with the DA about that, right? But I think for most people, and I do use the word most, okay, what they want to see is the track record regarding the transformation agenda. And I think that is still where the DA falls short. And therefore, my point to you that it still does come across that the DA is not putting their needs as the majority on the agenda.
I wonder sometimes where people get this information from. Because it's so easy to rely on false information. The fact of the matter is this. Let's take the city of Cape Town, for example. The bulk of their budget is spent on actually uplifting poorer communities. I'll give you another example. Not too long ago, we had a municipality, a Ngeni municipality in KZN. I mean, that municipality is just completely bankrupt. And within a 5-year period, the mayor that we put in there, Chris Pappas, has just completely turned that around. And that wasn't about just looking after certain sectors of society. It was about providing services to the entire community, regardless of what they look like or what language they speak or what race group they were. Because you cannot make a city work if you look after a certain sector of a city only.
Yeah.
It just will never work.
Well, I'll put this to you, maybe, and you don't have to answer this now, but maybe optics matters. So if you're saying you don't know where they're getting it, maybe then the communication line and how visually the DA is coming across is where you disconnect. But let's end with that. I'm sure we'll have further conversations down the line. Perhaps just here's the one thing for you, Hanif Hussein, in reflecting on your personality and your characteristics, what's the one leadership quality that you have that stands out? And you've got 30 seconds to respond.
I'm honest, I'm straightforward, and I will never steal people's money. That's the one assurance I can give the people of the city. I'll make sure that we put every single cent to work to build a better city so that our children can actually start swimming in our beaches again. Open the tap and you'll find water again. Get rid of the potholes in the city. It's going to take genuine commitment from an individual, and I have that. And I know what it takes to turn the city around.
Okay, honest, straightforward, and I will never steal again. I will never steal, not again. I will never steal. Hanif Hussein, I got that. Appreciate your time. Hanif Hussein is mayoral candidate for the eThekwini region in the 2026 election, and I think every day there's something going on. We also know about Gayton McKenzie's threatening that by Tuesday they could well be out, but he didn't say they will. He said that's what they expect now. Now, what's going to happen between now and then, we shall see. This is the National Pulse.
This week on FC Meets, Disetso and Bandile chat to TS Galaxy's rising Bafana star Kumlani Ndamane. Find out how this defensive gem handles the pressure of being a starting 11 regular, national duty responsibilities, and overseas ambitions. Tune in to SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 on Saturday, 27 September at 6 p.m. Also available on SABC Plus. FC Meets, football made for community by community. Rechange game. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Spa brings you 4 days of even more. From 25 to 28 September. Get 1.8-liter Dairy-Made Country Fresh ice cream. Any two for 100, save 54 Rand. Or 500 gram Spa Butter Brick for 54.99, save 35 Rand. It's 4 days of even more. Only at Spa. While stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Think about 6 years ago, when Amapiano was just a musical instrument. When streaming meant watching water flow, not videos online. And remote work was only said when your remote batteries died. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? Hino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
Right, reaction from you regarding the conversation with the DA's mayoral candidate for eThekwini. I'm talking about Hanif Hussein. You may just comment on that. Well, you can. If you're up for it, you can also comment on the walkout at the United Nations General Assembly when Benjamin Netanyahu took to the stage with many, many people, including South Africa's diplomats, walking out too. And that's not all. Then, of course, we've been talking about the commission today, and of course with an early end today being, well, not just being a Friday, just an early end, and just your reflections on that in terms of the testimony of Elaine Harrison that you may well have picked up on. But here's something else that will certainly startle you, because it has startled the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi. He visited the Acacia police station in Roslyn in Pretoria, and this was an unannounced visit, and the Gauteng Premier says he will summon the police commissioner, Lieutenant General Tommy Mtombeni, to explain the situation. When I say situation, it is that he was shocked at the state of the Acacia police station. Here's the Premier.
No, thank you so much for the opportunity, and thanks for joining us. We've decided to come here because I was inundated with inquiries from community members, opposition parties, and business around this area to say an instrument of government, they're of the view that is not functional. So I felt I must come here to check on myself. I mean, it didn't even take me 10 minutes to establish that indeed there's no police station here. There's no police station. So I've asked the provincial commissioner to see me in my office urgently to come and account together with the Department of Public Works. Because there's no way they can fight crime with an institution like this. So sadly, I came here to confirm that indeed there's no institution, and therefore we have to pull up our sleeves and ensure that there is an institution. They've been trying to get a building for almost the last 5 years or so. It has been difficult, so we've committed to assist them. But can only assist those that are giving you information to say we need this kind of assistance. The state of this, it's shocking. I've visited police stations, but I've not seen this kind of a police station. But it's not a lost cause. We just have to fix it. And we're committing, we're going to fix it. We have to attend to it.
Absolutely, and we know that it's not only this particular police station alone. I remember there was headlines made in Ga-Rankuwa where a police station would actually shut down after 6 p.m. because there were no lights at that particular police station. So do you believe maybe the problem is widespread beyond this particular station?
I'm not sure about that one. I know the Soshanguve one, when I visited with the previous minister, we sorted out all the problems. That's what I'm saying, even this one. I'm quite convinced that we'll attend to it. When we went to the Soshanguve, they didn't have computers, they didn't have phones. Now they have all those things after we've intervened. So I'm here. I'm of the strong view that we'll attend to it. But you can see it's deep-seated challenges. And that's the reason why we've got this uncontrollable crime statistics. Because if an institution that needs to fight crime is not in order, there's no way that will fight crime. So we have to get it in order.
Okay, there we are. In fact, let's get comment from you right away. Victor in Tembisa, what's your point?
Yes, sir. I think Tembisa, Mr. Panyazali should be surprising me. Tembisa is full of boom gates. The roads are blocked with rocks and everything. He never visited Rabasotho, where he grew up. What about us in Tembisa? He can run to Arcadia, but what about Tembisa, where he grew up? Where his roots are. What about crime there? Tembisa is full of everything. It's blocked with stones, boom gates all over, but he never helped us. So how can we trust that he can...
but I mean, Victor, it's not just that he must help you because that's where he came from. He must help you because he's the premier of the province. So if you're a citizen of Gauteng province and Tembisa is part of it, the same with Acacia, then that they should put a plan to help everybody. So you're quite right. If there's been a mess, for example, in Acacia at a police station, Nogal, then what does that tell you about so many other facilities? And that, in many ways, is a reflection of so many other conversations we have here on the National Pulse. Yeah? Okay, I think Victor's gone, but I think Victor's made his point very, very clear. Now, you can make your point too, and you can text, you can WhatsApp as well. Here's one. Let me see. DA supports genocide. I will never vote DA because of that. Hussein from Durban, just by the way, right? Picking up on what is perceived as DA policy. I think they do say officially that they support a two-state solution in Palestine. And maybe one of the days we need to get all the different political parties in South Africa together to say where do they stand on some of the big issues in the world, right? Okay, there's more. Here's one on... We asked about... remember we spoke earlier on about just what is it that drives you to listen to SAFM. Here's one.
Hello, Ashraf. I would say that the only reason that I love listening to SAFM for is the current affairs, because you can listen to the other radio stations, but it's all right. But here, it's like you're just learning about the economy, from the economy to your health, from your health to your pension funds to medical aid to childcare, and just the country, So that's why I like SAFM personally. I'm not into, if it's either I'm listening to SAFM or I'm driving in silence and I'm thinking and I'm planning.
All right, either listening or driving in silence.
Great show.
Well, thank you for calling in and sharing your thoughts. Here's another quick one.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashraf Mbongo Sondisa here. Mr. Ashraf, I listened to this show simply because always, not always, but 85% of the comments that I've made, complaining about something, they do get resolved, which means it shows that the people who are in power, they do listen to your show too, even if they don't comment. But then, I always feel like sad when like you are closing the show, knowing that now you are gone. I wish it could take up to 4 to 5 hours, but unfortunately it can't. Thanks, Mr. Ashraf. Mbongo Sundisa. Yeah.
Thank you. Absolutely. I'll be late for supper if that were the case, man. But listen, appreciate your feedback. Very, very welcome indeed. 4:30, here's the news headlines with Ondela.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the news headlines, South Africans will now have an opportunity to have a say on how the country's parole system is managed. The revamped approach, which is set to focus on legislation, policy, strategy, planning and operations, is expected to be completed by May 2027. And news just in: the Johannesburg Metro Police Department says all lanes on the N1 northbound before Winnie Mandela Drive near Fourways have been closed to traffic due to a fatal accident involving a truck and 2 other vehicles. 2 fatalities have been reported thus far. Emergency services are at the scene. And the British government has announced a new digital ID scheme, which it says will make it tougher to work illegally in the UK. The ID cards will need to be produced when applying for a job. A full update follows at the top of the hour with Greg Gross.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 northbound has a crash before Boysons Road. The N1 northbound in Fourways has a crash before Winnie Mandela Drive. And the N1 in Pretoria, busy conditions reported at Pumalani Toll Plaza, so expect delays. In KZN, the N3 westbound has a stationary truck after Cliffdale. The N2 northbound, a stationary vehicle before Umgeni Road. And the N2 southbound, a stationary truck after Umgeni Road. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound, slow moving towards Okavongo Road exit, the R304 northbound in Stellenbosch, queuing towards Port Lorraine Road, and on Montague Drive, slow moving traffic reported at Drill Avenue. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tumi Nkapele.
Right, Tumi, let's talk lots of sport, but you want to start with cricket, right?
Yes, Cricket South Africa board chairperson Pearl Maposhe says that the 2027 ICC World Cup is an opportunity to create a lasting legacy for not just South Africa, but for the continent as a whole. Just like in the 2003 edition, where the country hosted the event along with 2 other countries. This time, Namibia replaces Kenya to play a supporting role along with Zimbabwe to South Africa as the main host of the tournament. And Maposhe says that they're aiming high to set a new standard in World Cup events after that.
One of the things that we want to do, we want to set a new benchmark for future ICC events. As you know, the legacy thing is quite important for us in South Africa and in the continent. You would also remember that we are hosting this World Cup with both Zimbabwe, we have host venues there, and Namibia. And so we want to create a lasting legacy for cricket in Africa.
In rugby, Stormers coach John Dobson has entrusted experienced centre Ruan Nel with the captaincy of the United Rugby Championship opener against defending champions Leinster at the DHL Stadium tonight. The Cape side are missing several Springboks and senior players through injury, including regular leaders Salman Murat and Dion Fourie. And Dobson says Nel, who has been a consistent performer and senior voice in the squad, was the natural choice to lead.
Yeah, I think captaincy-wise, obviously the unavailability of Salman and Dion's had an impact on that, and obviously the older narrative around Kitself's retirement, so we sort of lost a bit of leadership. And Nietlin's had some, as he's only just really joined us. He hasn't played a pre-season game. He's had some personal stuff to deal with, so. That left Ruan. He was really good against the Sharks, and we really enjoyed him as a leader. And I think he's always led our defence. It's an area, and it's also a focus areas for us on this season. So that worked for us.
In football, Orlando Pirates coach Abdeslam Ouaddou says that midfielder Relebogile Mofokeng might not be available for tomorrow's CAF Champions League preliminary round second leg clash against DOD FC of Lesotho. Mofokeng was a notable absentee at Pirates training session this morning at Orlando Stadium, which attracted questions from the media about the 20-year-old.
I have to speak with my medical department to see what is going on. Really, it's important player for us. But if we have to speak with the medical department. I cannot tell you more about him. About the second question, I don't need to see my players more because I know them. I had 2 months, 3 months, and especially in the preparation to see the level of my players. I know them very well. Tomorrow, what I can tell you that we will put a competitive team because it's a very, very important game for me, for the players, and for the club.
Elsewhere, Tottenham have rejected a takeover proposal from a consortium led by American tech entrepreneur Brooklyn Ehrig. It is the third expression of interest rejected by the club's board since the sudden departure of executive chairman Daniel Levy earlier this month. Ehrig has fueled speculation by posting an image of the dressing room at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on social media, including a timer counting down the 27 days to the 24th of October. However, Tottenham say they are not on sale. In tennis, Coco Gauff beat Russia's Kamila Rakimova 6-4, 6-love today to secure a spot in the last 32 as she bids for a repeat China Open crown. The world number 3 from the States will next face Canada's Leila Fernandez, who won 6-2, 6-love against Maria Sakkari in Beijing. In the meantime, Daniil Medvedev, who is the 8th seed at the China Open, East Pass Cameron Norrie 6-3, 6-4 to book his place in the last 16. And up next for him is Alejandro Fokina. In the other one, the second seed of Taylor Fritz of United States of America defeated Nuno Borges of Portugal in straight sets 7-5 and 7-6 in 1 hour and 54 minutes to reach the quarterfinals of the Japan Open. And next up for him, he's taking on Sebastian Korda for a place in the semifinals. Finally, in golf, Bryson DeChambeau has backed President Donald Trump to inspire Teams USA to Ryder Cup glory and is relishing the prospect of facing Rory McIlroy. Now, DeChambeau features for Team USA after failing to qualify for the 2023 defeat in Rome, with the two-time major champion looking to help Keegan Bradley's side to regain the trophy in New York. We'll see if Team South Africa will actually do well against Teams Europe. But looking forward to just seeing all that action in terms of the golf course.
And you've got your own predictions, which I'm looking forward to in the next hour.
Oh,
okay.
I'll have more on other sports in the next hour.
The SABC News Portal is your one-stop digital platform for all the news you need. Stay connected with the latest and breaking stories. Listen to all SABC radio stations live, including podcasts, and also watch the SABC News channel with clips and live streams of all the big news events. Simply download the SABC News app on your smartphone from the Play or App Store. SABC News, independent and impartial.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, let's get the numbers with Paswane Mpatlele from Markway Fund Managers. Give us the news, Paswane, local and global.
Afternoon, Ashraf, and good Friday, happy Friday to everyone. Well, we're coming back from the holiday we had. We were exposed to the direction of the dollar having changed to more strength, given the pressure to global currencies, and it's supported by the likes of the data we've seen coming off that Thursday into Friday, GDP, durable goods being positive, consumer spending, jobless claims, and they're providing the proof that the U.S. economy is still on the rise. But we see the likes of US PCE inflation data. Today, the expectations were in line, up 0.3 on a month-to-month, and investors jumped on this data and on the fact that it's showing inflation is still stable in the short term, and reinforced the hopes that they could get another rate cut, which put the dollar back on the back foot as the trend is being down 0.3, lifting global sentiment and supporting a more broadening when we think of the bullishness we're seeing in the commodity baskets with various metals growing. You think of nickel, iron, coal, palladium, platinum up 0.2 at highs of $1,575 an ounce. Oil is up 0.8 at $69.42 a barrel. being a very positive and bullish. Gold is holding up 0.7%, being very bullish also at $3,775 in an ounce, further supported by the further developments when you think of the tariffs that the US is looking at branded drugs and the global political instability that we've just been seeing continuing to slowly but push in that direction. You think of Russia and Europe, the highlighting of shooting of their jets if they come through into Europe. We think of those Middle East that haven't done yet. Of course, we've got some own local developments when you think of the GNU instabilities and local elections are coming up, and they're putting a cap on gains on domestic stocks. We see financials pressure down 0.3. Industrials are still finding support as we still have some dollar-nominated stocks and they're up 0.2, but resources fully dollar-dominated is our biggest gainer and continues on that uptrend, up 3.7, and thanks to those commodities rising, helping the GSC overall up 0.8 today, adding to those weekly gains we've been seeing that's been helping the JSE. Europe, when we look at those indices, they see the DAX and CAC up 0.7. US is up in terms of Dow up 0.3, but S&P is flat, Nasdaq is down 0.3 on that stable inflation. Bitcoin is still looking like sentiment is flowing out along with flow of money, down at sitting up at $109,000. When we look into our currency space, we're supported by the dollar going back to what we know it as weaker, and rand against the dollar at 17.38, rand against the euro 20.32, and rand against the pound 23.28.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for that. You have a great weekend, Paswani. We will connect again on Monday. I know that.
Cheers.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, so many people wanting to comment. By the way, if you have a view to comment on the issue regarding, the conversation with the DA candidate for mayor of the city of, Durban or Tegwini, well, you can certainly do that too. Let's just hear what you have to say around that one there. And we'll take some of the calls as well just now. Let me just remind you that we'll be chatting to Rihanna, the barefoot facilitator. She comes up as my fireside chat guest after 5 o'clock. She's had quite an amazing history. I mean, I think a former teacher, and then was part of the Joburg City Council, and as part of that, she headed up the Mayoral Committee on Transport, which was then part of that committee that led the drive for the Ria Vaya going up to the 2010 World Cup, remember? But she's moved on since then. Lots to consider around what she just said. So let's pick out some of your thoughts. In fact, there's a few comments further about SAFM, which I'll start with.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashraf Mbongo Sondisa here. Mr. Ashraf, I listened to this show simply because not always, but 85% of the comments that I've made, complaining about something, they do get resolved, which means it shows that the people who are in power, they do listen to your show too, even if they don't comment. But then, I always feel sad when you are closing the show, knowing that now you are gone. I wish it could take up to 4 to 5 hours, but unfortunately it can't. Thanks, Mr. Ashraf. Mbongo Sundisa here.
Mbongo, listen, this is very unintentional. We played that one by mistake a second time round, but I can tell you now, no, I'm not going to stick around for 5 hours. But I think I appreciate the feedback. Much appreciated. Right. What about Gayton McKenzie?
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashraf. Mbongo Sundisa here.
No, there is something wrong there, so I don't know. Let me sort it out. Now, we don't want to play it all the time. Let's pick out some other comments. We'll get back to Gayton just now.
Ashraf, you know what? After this commission, we are all going to hold our breath and thanks God that we were not being attacked by so-called the rebels or any terrorist attack here in South Africa. It is indeed that God is with us. Because you cannot understand how a top cop be in a friendly relationship with the most wanted and top criminals. This is unbelievable, really unbelievable indeed.
Okay, that's one of them. And there's lots of other comments about the Madlanga Commission too.
Ashraf.
Okay, there we are. Let's do that.
Hello, Ashraf. Happy Friday. This is Tepiso.
You know, Ashraf, I think for me, the takeaway, especially for today's witness, is that it just confirms, and it's also there's damning evidence against the minister. But then the question that I have is, why did she say that Mr. Mkhwanazi didn't say anything after learning about the disbandment? And I was wondering, what did she expect him to do, as a provisional commissioner? He's not a national commissioner, he's not a minister, he's not a president. And I'm just wondering, why did she question that she said nothing? I guess he wouldn't have said anything because everything was beyond his authority, and the people, I guess, who were supposed to intervene, perhaps maybe the national minister or the national commissioner.
Okay, got that. Well, you raised some interesting points. By the way, Tsepi, so you were the subject of a big conversation yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, where everyone thought like you are Professor Thuli Madonsela because you sound just like her. And they said, look, you're not her. Some said you are her. Others said you sound like her, but you're not her. But you sound just like her. Just so that you know, you were the subject of the National Pulse. Right, there's more to come. Let's comment about the commission.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ashraf. Well, for me, of all the people who have given their testimonies thus far in the commission, the weakest link of all of them is the National Commissioner himself, General Masamula, Major General Masamula, because he failed to answer the most fundamental question, which is, why did he implement an unlawful instruction by the minister? Why didn't he challenge the minister? I mean, Mkhwanazi had to hold a press conference because he could see that his own boss is very weak. He is not doing anything about the situation. I mean, the National Commissioner is supposed to grab the bull by its horn and fight this battle. He failed to do that as our National Commissioner. So for me, he's the weakest link of all of them. And if this commission is going to find against police officials, the first in the list should be the National Commissioner himself for implementing an unlawful instruction that came from the minister. Thank you, Ashraf. Tato from Centurion.
Oh, thanks for that, Tata. By the way, so Netanyahu has been addressing the United Nations General Assembly, and I've already mentioned that many people walked out, many, but of course there were others who stayed. And in staying, he spoke about how he was able to, eliminate those Iranians that who had pages, right? And as you know, they paged and bombarded them as a result of that. And he spoke about that. So just after he was done, then Trump made the point again that there will be a deal. He expects a deal to happen very, very shortly, right? But again, lots of people are walking out in protest, and different reports. Some saying he looked visibly shaken. Others are like, no, he was confident in terms of what he had to say, but clearly they had to call for order in getting things done. There's more here, and of course the police will top the agenda, right? But we'll get to that in a second. Here's another on SAFM.
Hi, Ashraf. Sheila Telepedi in Mahikeng. Ashraf, the reason I listen to SAFM, you take your listeners serious, you research, you give us up-to-date information, you engage, and even the callers there, they are so professional. So every time I listen to SAFM, I learn something new. But above all, you presenters, I appreciate how you take us serious as listeners. Thank you, Ashraf.
Well, listen, I think that is one of the most profound statements you've heard, because you've just summed it up. One is we take you seriously, and we do, right? And the content is serious because the world is serious. And number three, I think you're right. We have some of the most amazing callers on these shows, not just my show, but I mean across the board, right? To the point, and need I say it, sometimes the callers know even more than analysts. Where they get their facts and figures from, I don't know, but they seem to know it all, and that is really impressive.
Good afternoon, SAFM. My name is Gwen. I'm living in Hartbeespoort. And what I really want to say is that our police in Hartbeespoort are totally corrupt. We need to revamp the whole police station because it is a total disaster. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Oh, there we are. You do mean some police officers, not all, do you? Maybe that's why there's a commission on the go right now, isn't it? Right. What about ministers?
Ashraf, afternoon, and the SFM listeners. Ashraf, it's very surprising, and I don't know what to say anymore. Our ministers and people from the ruling party, forever, when they go to these places, they express how they are shocked to see the state of these things. But things are collapsing before their eyes. So Mr. Lusufi should not come and say he's surprised, he's shocked, it's shocking what he sees. People complain, ordinarily people would talk about these things. So it looks like they live in their own world. Oh, shame. Z from Bloemfontein.
Yeah, well, listen, the part I do agree is why, honestly, why would anybody be surprised now? Why would they be surprised? Considering there are thousands of problems in our country, there are leakages, there's absence of water, there's potholes. So now you go to a police station that's not in great shape and you're surprised. Why? Seriously, why would you be surprised? It's consistent, isn't it? Right, there's more from you in a moment.
When Avukile was diagnosed with blood cancer, his only hope was a stem cell transplant from a matching donor. Thankfully, a perfect match was found, and Avukile received the transplant that saved his life. But thousands of patients in South Africa are still waiting to find their match. Together, we can give more patients like Avukile a second chance at life. Visit dkmsafrica.org.
This is an SABC-supported initiative.
Get down to Dis-Chem this Friday 26th to Sunday 28th September for our 1 weekend only 2+1 cheapest free deals on the widest range of sports supplements and energy drinks from top brands like Biogen, NPL, USN, Primal, Optimum Nutrition, Muscle Tech, 32GI and more. Get expert advice from our in-store consultants to help you reach your health and fitness goals. Excludes all advertised products. Only at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
Mzansi, play Powerball for a massive 90 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday, and you could win big, just like the lucky Powerball Plus jackpot winner who won over 69 million rand on Tuesday. The winning ticket was purchased in-store in Mpangeni, KwaZulu-Natal. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old and play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
Well, there was reports earlier today about this statue, the Kruger statue, being vandalized. That's Church Square in Pretoria. We can't follow that now, but I mean, that was that report, and maybe it's another story. Here's something I must take with humor. Ashraf repeating too many voice notes, meaning the 30-second rule doesn't apply. So next week, I'm sending a 60-second voice note. It'll be the same like 2 30-second voice notes. Great weekend. I get you. Listen, my apology about the repeat. There were some gremlins in the system here that had a problem where things did not delete, and that's why. But the 30-second rule really is to ensure we can get as many people as possible to send a voice note. Remember, a voice note is not the same as a call in, which is different. But even a call in, it can never be about a speech, right? So, I mean, really, if you can't make your point in 30 seconds on air, then what? So please don't try the 2 times 30 seconds. I get your point. Right. What? Now, let's just see. Here's one.
Hey, Ashraf. These alleged criminals, now I call them comprador, tenderpreneur, bourgeois. They cannot do these things on themselves. They are being compradized. They are being fronted by big monopoly capital underground. They can't on themselves do this thing. That's why I call them comprador, tenderpreneur, bourgeois. I did in Bushbuckridge.
I'm not even going to argue with you. It's Friday. There we are.
Gore, you see, the DA may beat its chest and say they've got track record of doing things right. Well, Cape Town is cleaner than most cities that are managed or governed by ANC. But what about the townships? See, there's a problem. the service delivery in the township is still not impressive. We cannot talk about crime because policing is the competency of the national subs, but we still have the provincial commissioner. We've got Metro who just sit and do nothing. Theirs is just to write traffic fines. They were supposed to do patrols and security alert. The best defense is deterrent. When you see the guys walk around and drive around, will be better. But DA, when it comes to black transformation and black leaders, they are not there. They don't last. So why?
Well, I mean, look, that's the point. Even in the conversation with the now mayoral candidate for Tegwini, you can't dismiss that narrative. That the only way that narrative of the DA will change is when it comes across that they are doing things on behalf of the majority of South Africans. And until it doesn't come across that way, people are always going to be skeptical. That's why we said optics matter. So, put it this way, if you are wearing a football kit and you're playing rugby, then people can see that you're playing rugby, not football, not soccer. It's obvious. So you have to then change the game and change the goalposts. You have to do that. Otherwise, they'll always tell you you're wrong.
Good day, Ashraf. This is VA from Sydney. Ashraf, the difference between the Zondo Commission and the Mahlanga Commission is Mahlanga Commission, people are getting arrested and people are getting suspended. That is what we want as South Africans. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll see how that really truly plays out, right? Let's get to years. Now, let me just get Phineas to assist on that one there. Right, here's another.
Cyril Ramaphosa, Ashraf, has not attended to two previous reports regarding the shenanigans within SAPS. I don't know why we have hope that this time around he'll do something. There's too many fingers pointing at various people. And Cyril is one of them that needs to come and answer. That is why I can never understand why he should get the report. Why will he be in charge of the report? And what is being put forward. Teresa.
Thanks for that, Teresa. I looked at some fascinating tweets. The Gayton McKenzie saying by Tuesday, that's it. Out of coalition, out of the GNU, stepping down as the Minister of Sport. But there seems to be a question mark because it still says unless Kenny Kuneni is reinstated in Joburg. That's the big unless. So can things change? But interesting enough, somebody, a person by the name of Amanda Inquest tweeting saying when he said on Tuesday, like, why wait till Tuesday? And I see there's a few other people saying the same thing, like, why wait till Tuesday?
Good afternoon, sir. Ashraf, it's Kaya here. Look, they have to be surprised. That surprise is a strategic word that they are using because now we are going for local elections. So that surprise will then now change into a promise. That's a political statement. No surprise these days is a political statement that is pregnant that will then deliver a promise because we are going to the local elections now. Yeah, that's it. Finish and clear.
Surprise, promise, and delivery. Right, Cape Town.
If so services don't go to poor areas in Cape Town where DA runs the city, whose fault is it? Because it's the same poor black people who are extortionists to the people who bring services to their, to their townships. Now you want to cry DA? Come on now, it's where in Tata.
All right, and here's the last one I can play now.
Ashraf, I just wonder where are we going as a country under these blue-collar criminals? I wonder where are we going as a country. I worry for our future.
Okay, let's leave it at that. So no more calls on current affairs issues for now, because after 5 we then move into fireside chat mode on a Friday. And today my guest is Rihanna the Barefoot facilitator. We're going to talk about mobile issues as well, and I don't mean mobile phones. I mean mobile cars, okay, and other forms of transport, amongst many other things that she's part of. That's part of her life. Let's get the news now. It's 5 o'clock. Here's Greg Host.
Thank you, Ashraf. Delays on the N1 after fatal crash in Britain announces a new digital ID. Good day to you. The Johannesburg Metro Police Department has warned of severe delays on the N1 North before Winnie Mandela Drive near Fourways after a fatal crash between a truck and two cars. 2 people have been killed. All lanes have now been closed to traffic to clear the scene. Metro Police spokesperson Kulani Fikl.
The truck has overturned, spilling its load of cooking oil onto the roadway. Emergency personnel and law enforcement officers are on scene, but motorists should expect severe delays and are strongly advised to exercise caution and to use alternative routes.
South Africans will now have an opportunity to have a say on how the country's parole system is managed. The revamped approach, which is set to focus on legislation, policy, planning and operations, is expected to be completed by 2027. This follows the conclusion of the National Parole Review Summit. Spokesperson for the Correctional Services Department, Singobakhan Nxumalo.
Once approved, it will then find its way to Parliament for the final sale. So, as a department, we're looking forward to a parole system that will make it a point that we have a system where the gaps that we had in the past have now been solved, whether it will also involve a new act altogether or a legislative review. I think that will all depend on the final product.
The community of Chinsa in the Eastern Cape has called for government to allocate more resources to the fight against crime. They say incidents of gender-based violence, house robberies and armed robberies are rife in their area. These issues were raised during a community imbizo held in the area by the Provincial Community Safety Department. CPF member Sosa Tozoma.
Yes, there's a slight challenge of a police visibility. The reason for that, we don't have enough air resources at the station. When I'm talking about enough resources, we don't have a lot of police officers at the police. If the police go to their retirement, there will be no replacement. If the police officer passed away, no replacement.
Meanwhile, the spokesperson for the Provincial Community Safety Department, Michael Msebi, has committed to attend to the issues raised by the community.
I will take that matter up with the head of the department. Hopefully the head, I know, certainly is going to take it up with the Provincial Commissioner. Both of them, they can take that matter up with the National Department of Police. We are hopeful that something will be done in that regard.
A local non-governmental organisation, Menace Safety Promoters, has expressed concern over the alarming rates of young boys suffering from substance abuse. More than 10,000 drug users have been sent to various rehabilitation centres across Gauteng by the Department of Social Development. The organisation held a dialogue on Friday at Everton, south of Johannesburg, to empower young individuals to make informed choices. Further afield, the British government's announced a new digital ID scheme which it says will make it tougher to work illegally in the UK. The ID cards would need to be produced when applying for a job. Critics have voiced concern about personal freedom. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
Frankly, we've been squeamish about saying things that are clearly true. It's not just that it's not compassionate left-wing politics to rely on labour that exploits foreign workers and undercuts fair wages, but the simple fact that every nation needs to have control over its borders. We do need to know who is in our country.
The top story, the Joburg Metro Police Department has warned of severe delays on the N1 North before Winnie Mandela Drive near Fourways after a fatal crash between a truck and two cars. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Goss.
In sports, the Sour Baby Proteas gear up for tough semi-final tonight. Oxen Chair ruled out of Puma's clash, and the Cricket South Africa board looking for lasting legacy in 2027 World Cup. More details at 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N1 southbound in Pretoria queuing towards Rigel Avenue, the N3 southbound in Bedfordview as a stationary truck near Van Buren Road, and the N1 northbound in Four Ways, a crash before Winnie Mandela Drive, queuing traffic both ways. In KZN on the N3 both ways, queuing traffic on the link to the N2 north at Spaghetti Junction, the N3 westbound in Key Ridge has a crash after the Songweni exit, and the N3 westbound queuing towards Hammersdale. In Cape Town, on the N1 outbound in Paarl, queuing traffic at Huguenot Toll Plaza. The N1 outbound also has a crash reported before the R300 interchange, and Lesbiek Parkway outbound in Observatory, slow moving towards the N2 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
The Blues fully get it that victory at Stamford Bridge brings more joy to their fans.
As this corner goes into the centre, and there is João Pedro!
But the Seagulls want to avoid mistakes and deliver an excellent game plan.
James Milner with a little shuffle, the run up, and into the bottom corner. Beautifully converted by James Milner against his former club.
This is the Premier League. Experience Chelsea FC versus Brighton and Hove Albion FC on Saturday, 27 September at 3:30 p.m. Live on SABC3 and SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game. Embark on your journey to success with the Durban University of Technology. Applications for 2026 first-year students are now open across our 6 faculties. Closing dates vary, so don't wait. Check detailed entry requirements on dut.ac.za. Apply today through the Central Applications Office at cao.ac.za. DUT and Vision 2030, creative, distinctive, impactful.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, with me, well, you know, on a Friday we go into fireside chat mode. So with me today is Rihanna, the Barefoot Facilitator. We'll spend about 45-50 minutes all the way up to the top of the hour. And as always, I put this challenge out to you that, hey, if you know Rihanna, the Barefoot Facilitator, if you know her personally, then that's great. So why don't you calling in and you know, giving herself a shout out, right? If you know about the work she's done, if you just wish to make a comment, that's absolutely great. If you want to pick up on some of the issues that she's bound to raise, then that's also fine. But it's nice if you do know her and you want to just say something to her. So I'll let me do this. Let me not forget. I'll give you the number so you don't forget it, especially if you're a first time caller or listener, because I think the regulars know exactly what they need to do. The number to save, of course, save it on your phone, 086 000 2032, and then the WhatsApp, you can send a voice note, 30 seconds, notwithstanding the previous message from the caller to say I'm going to do 2 times 30, 0614 104 107, 0614 104 107, and if you are tweeting, use that hashtag, the National Pulse. So Rihanna, good to connect with you. I've had you as a guest upstairs a long time ago. I've had you as a guest upstairs when you brought that young girl, that very bright girl. What is her name?
I was not the guest.
Jacqueline. So you were there as part of it, yes.
Jacqueline Sedebe was the guest, and she got the 6th floor treatment, and I'm with you in the basement at
Well, there you
SAFM. So, so much for young people in South Africa. They're moving up.
It's about adaptability, and she certainly is moving up. Anyway, how is she? So just give me a quick recap. She came in because this is so important. Tell us where she comes from, because not everybody would know that story. So give me 1 minute. Tell us the story of where she came from and why we got her into studio.
Yeah, so Ashraf, last year, Johannesburg Zoo had turned 120, and one of the things that they had done was made entrance 20 Rand for people for that period as part of the celebration. I think it was March last year. And we have a group of young kids at the Slovo Informal Settlement. A group of activists, IT activists, have actually put in some solar-powered digital skills hub in the informal settlement, and we decided to take the kids to the zoo. Not exactly the skills hub children, the others who come to play in the park. And I had put a challenge to the kids after they had visited the zoo to say, please feel free to write up your adventure. And Jacqueline had a free period at school. Teacher was absent. She took a piece of paper. She wrote up the zoo adventure, but she also illustrated it. And when she brought it to me, it was so remarkable that I was, no, we can't just leave this. We've got to bring it to life. So got in touch with my daughter, who is a creative content designer, and she took Jacqueline's hand-drawn stuff, and we took Jacqueline's words and we turned it into a little book called My Trip to the Zoo. And so Jacqueline was your guest here. She ended up being part of Anthea Tayson's 67 African authors. And then, of course, we had driven past, we'd taken the route past Wits University. Jacqueline, in the 2 minutes that we passed Wits University, remembered the logo, drew it in her book, and I had taught Sharona Patel, who is the spokesperson of Wits, and called up Sharona and said, listen, this young kid has noticed Wits, so Wits had better give something back. And Sharona faithfully promised that she would, and eventually invited that same group of kids to the Digital Dome. At Wits.
The old planetarium.
The old planetarium. And on that particular weekend was also the Yebo Hocha exhibition. So the kids got to do Yebo Hocha, and it was just amazing.
Okay. And just to remind us, you spoke about Jacqueline, and you've been saying the kids. So who are the kids?
So, Ashraf, I live in a suburb called Crosby, kind of arrived there post-democracy around 96, when, you no longer had to do the long commute from Lens to Joburg. And by the time I started living there, there was already what we now refer to as an informal settlement. But those are people's homes, right? People live there. In fact, generations of people have now lived there. So it was already there. And, at the time, it had some engagement. Fadil Musa was the councillor for the area, had some engagement and interaction, and then kind of went off on my own journey, had lost touch in many ways with that community. But kind of post-COVID, started up a relationship again with the community, and the children are predominantly children from Slovo informal settlement. Of course, there are many Slovo informal settlements in the country. This particular one is between Crosby and Coronationville, just off the Langlaagte railway line. And these are children who come to something that the Barefoot Facilitator has put together called Play in the Park. I live across from a park called Sir Drummond Chaplin Park. And a friend whose son, Yasmin Kovadia, her son Tariq, had outgrown his toys. He was now like a matric going into varsity. She was packing up toys. She said, look, I know you do some work with the kids. Can I send you the toys? And when I looked at the quality of what she had sent, I decided, well, I have space in my garage. What if I contain the toys there, and then the program has evolved. It was never conceptualized like that, Ashraf, but it's evolved. And so once a month, the kids arrive. They get a bit of a fruit snack. We have guests come. One of our, we've had amazing guests, but recently a guest that has really excited me is Uncle Cyril Turton. He's written a book called Cyril Learns to Read. And Cyril's story is one of many South African children who are in school but are not able to read, or if they're able to read, not able to comprehend what they're reading. And he talks about the book is about how he taught himself to read. And of course, his book is set, he lived in Coronationville. So when the children...
So that's on the other side of this divide,
When the children at the park, play in the park, now see Uncle Cyril, and the street names in his book are ones they recognize. It's wonderful. It's not... I was saying to someone this morning, Ashraf, that when we went to school, it was Roy and Carol and Sarki and Butt or something like that. And for kids to be able to see themselves in literature, to see that their communities are reflected in books, and of course the fact that they now have an author in their midst. And then the children said, how come Jacqueline gets to write a book? How come Jacqueline gets to be on Uncle Ashraf's show?
What about that? And you want that. You want them to aspire.
So then by the end of the year, they put their own little collective book together about their 2024 Play in the Park experience.
Wow. I mean, what does that tell us about you and your ability to connect people, and not connect people in the narrow confines of, your own community or your own faith or your own tribe, as people may call it. But it seems like, and this is what I can see, that you connect people who are diverse, and somehow you just make things happen.
So, Ashraf, my joy in life is to connect people. It's my most favorite thing to do, actually. And I think we're poorer as a nation when we don't connect. And in a world that is really focused at the moment on othering and difference, it's so easy to say, well, I don't connect with so-and-so because. And I think we miss opportunities when we don't connect. In fact, some of what informed the work at Slovo, I mean, it wasn't that deliberate, but at the same time I was reading or had encountered an African British psychologist who had moved to Canada, who then said that one of the pathways out of poverty is for someone with access to networks to bridge communities who can't access opportunity. And how many people don't we know who have that ability to bridge?
So you have access to networks, but
I'm
you
grateful
then
for that.
use that to bridge with others who clearly have no idea. Yeah.
Who simply, I mean, Jacqueline would not be
Yeah.
able to access you, Ashraf,
Yeah.
but I can access you
Yeah.
on her behalf. And, similarly, so, I mean, I'll give you another story. Alsona van Hastian of the CSIR, her daughter-in-law was a cast member in the Disney's Magic Box, and Alsona unfortunately lost her mum, and they had 4 tickets for Disney's Magic Box. Immediately, Alsona phones up and said, listen, we've got the tickets. Can you get some of your children from play in the park and take them off to Disney's Magic Box? And, of course, I mean, it's not every child you're touching. You're not able to do everything that everyone needs, but I think there are, through connections and connecting people, magic happens.
But it's interesting you say that because, I often know, and, when we talk about people, we know it's almost like we're name dropping, but this is part of our own circle. So a person like Tebe Kalafeng, this brand guru, who makes the point that the person that truly opened the doors for him in terms of studying in the USA is Felicia Mabuza Sattel. And from there, it's head of Nike South Africa's marketing and so on and so on. But it's still needed because it's difficult to open up doors for like 1,000 people at a time. So when you do a few, they then can impact on their communities, aren't they?
So Ashraf, I mean, there's another example I'm going to give you. Somebody that we both know. In fact, I met him through you and your Champion Innovators Group, Umtunzi Mdwaba.
Yeah.
When Umtunzi was still at the ILO, one of the chats we had was like, all the ILO interns come from every place besides Africa. And, Umtunzi said, I want to make sure that we get some young Africans to intern at the ILO. And I was like, actually, I have the person for you. It was Noluthando Mtimkulu. At the time, Noluthando was being recognized as one of the young, Mail and Guardian, 200 young South Africans to watch. And that actually happened.
Wow.
Mtunzi said, here's the application. Tando filled it in. She was successful. Off she went to Geneva. She's now with the National Business Initiative. And so, yes, absolutely. If you have the networks, why not make them work for others?
But what it tells you, I mean, even as we talk, and I have to say that with respect, to say we forget, even I forget, that how my networks impact your networks and how your networks impact other people. So, in fact, this person you refer to, Noluthando, how her life then changes because of our own connections that take place.
So, Ashraf, I had the opportunity this week to sit down with a former educator of mine, Sabira Jasat. She had just lost her sister, and so I went to pay condolences. But in many ways, Sabira played that role in my life.
Okay.
She opened opportunities for me that I would never have accessed on my own, and always very, very grateful for that.
Yeah, wow. What do you feel then about, those that say, leave the opening of opportunities to other people? This is like a meritocracy. You must just try your best on your own and just leave everything to just your own sweat and don't even ask anybody for help. So, for example, if someone needs guidance in understanding connectivity and the mind, and if I know you, I'm like, no, I mustn't say a word. You may just find your way. What do you say about people who believe that's
so,
the way
Ashraf,
it should be?
why then does corporate South Africa have networking events? Why do people actually pay to attend a networking event? And I mean, I think it's quite sad because sometimes we call it networking and then sometimes we call it nepotism.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm not saying take Noluthando because I know her. I'm like, let her apply for this position because she's up to it. She has the ability to do it, right? And I think too often, many, many young South Africans come from backgrounds where they actually can't access those opportunities without someone brokering, taking them to an experience that they wouldn't have on their own. And again, it's quite interesting how often transport is the disabler of opportunity and access. So take this thing about the zoo, okay? Whilst those parents may be able to afford the $20 entrance fee when the zoo reduced it, and I know I used to be on the board at Saibono, even if there's no entrance fee, the entrance fee is zero. The cost of transport makes it impossible for someone to access an opportunity, even when supposedly
it's like winning a car and they say, okay, now you need to pay for the insurance and the upkeep. You absolutely cannot afford it. More to come from Rihanna, the barefoot facilitator. And a reminder, if you're up for it, if you just want to listen to us, that's absolutely fine. But if you're up for it, do call in 086 000 2032, perhaps on that theme of connections and how you actually create the connections of people in South Africa. I often talk about, a seat at the table and how do we get a table big enough for 60 million people as opposed to just, 5 or 6. Perhaps you may pick up on that and more here on the National Pulse.
Power, land, loyalty, blood. In the heart of Montana, the fight for the Dutton Ranch is far from over. Betrayals cut deep, enemies close in, and every choice could be their last. Yellowstone, Season 4, where family is everything and nothing is off limits. Every Tuesday, starting September 2nd at 7 p.m., only on S3. S3, open up.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
X at SAFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
Right, Rihanna, the barefoot facilitator, with us. So I need to tell you this. Just let's go back to the very beginning here. I've known you for many, many years, but I mean, you've had a career as a teacher at some stage, but then you got into public service, and it's very topical because Joburg City is your beat, and it's very topical, you know that, right? And then the issues around transport. So can I just indulge you just to give us a quick, your own 1-minute bio of yourself in terms of where you come from, where you are?
Ashraf, born and bred Johannesburger, grew up in Lenasia, spent the first 25 years of my life there. Qualified as an educator, Wits University, then actually paused to raise my children, but that was a period of community activism. And that community activism then drew me into local government politics. So 2000 to 2006, I was a proportional representation councillor for the ANC in Ward 69. So in fact, SABC was part of the ward.
All right.
And contested the ward in 2006. Was very confident. I was part of the ANC Helen Joseph branch. We were incredibly confident that we were going to win this ward. We won 6 of the 7 voting districts, but we lost Westdean by such a big margin that we lost the ward. And I'd kind of almost decided that if I don't win the ward, I'm out of politics. But the ANC had given me the opportunity to also be on the proportional representation list. And Mayor Masonda then appointed me as the political head of transport. I was the member of the Mayoral Committee of Transport from 2006 to 2011. That was in the run-up to the World Cup. That was the period of introducing the Rea Vaya Bus Rapid Transit project, the opportunity to work with amazing leaders in the minibus taxi industry. And then I was reappointed to that position when Mayor Tao became the mayor of Joburg, but resigned from that position in February of 2013.
And why did you resign? Because I mean, you're smiling. What happened to you? Because I'm thinking at that time, it's like you were positioned. Everybody knows you played a huge role with Rea Vaya, right? And transport, I think, is still public transport is still very much close to your soul, right? So why then step out?
So, Ashraf, there were a number of things. I was finding politics increasingly divisive. My soul was questing for spaces of unity. Politics is terribly divisive. There were internal issues in relation to performance and accountability that were being billed as relationship issues with the then executive director of transport. And so I think I kind of made the decision that if me staying in political office is slowing down the delivery of subsequent phases of Rea Vaya to the community of Johannesburg, then let me get out of the way. And so phase 1B actually was launched after I had left in October of that year. I'm very sad to say phase 1C, that was promised by the ANC, by the DA, by everyone, the ANC was meant to have delivered it in 2016. We are almost 10 years down the line. The stations are laying idle in Sandton. The acting DG of Transport is now telling the country that the country is broke thanks to these projects, but no one has bothered to hold anyone accountable for the lack of credible public transport that services the vast majority of residents in this country. And I don't think we understand what is happening at household level and how household costs are being eaten up by transport costs, and the fact that many South Africans work to be able to get to work. And that can't be right.
Well, that's true. So, and then in terms of Rea Vaya, I mean that's an amazing legacy for you. What exactly did you do in terms of the delivery of Rea Vaya?
So, Ashraf, I think Rea Vaya is an interesting example of where the political and admin interface in any sphere of government, but in this instance it was local government, have to work hand in glove, right? So at the time, the executive director was Bob Stanway. Bob is a very credible transport engineer. I was the political head. And I think the way in which we complemented each other, I mean, at a point, Rea Vaya had 22 different work streams, okay? You will remember that there was also a point where the taxi industry, 2 days before a national election in 2009, had called the then president of the ANC in, Mr. Zuma, who he was not yet the president of the country, and he had kind of made a statement, hold horses for now. We were getting ready for Confeds Cup, and we had to hold back, right? But I think Rea Vaya is testimony not to the leadership of an individual or a person. Rea Vaya is testimony to when collaboration happens and when people are able to see beyond narrow interests, how you can do magic in very short periods of time. So the bus rapid transit for Johannesburg, Rea Vaya, was approved by the City Council November 2006. By August 2009, it was inaugurated. Now, I don't think we understand what that means when, whole streets, Market and Commissioner, had to be dug up, land had to be procured. There was the JDA, Lael Bethlehem, the CEO of JDA. I mean, just tons and tons of people. I mean, subsequently, I heard from team members how the night before the launch, like MDs were washing buses, things that I didn't even know. But I mean, it is testimony to, and I think this is the thing about South Africa. We know it over and over that when we come together, when we can see something bigger than ourselves, we can do it. But when we get into the kind of egocentric way of being, the finger-pointing way of being, we miss the opportunities that we have, and we're a blessed country. We could be doing so much more.
Well, that's true. I mean, I think of the rugby phrase, stronger together, and how it happens. Why do you think we can't get that right? That we can't be stronger together because we're just not together?
So, Ashraf, that's pretty much where the Barefoot Facilitator comes in. I mean, I think having been in local government, having seen how engagement and interaction happens in public sector, what the lack of coordination between public sector, private sector, civil society, and academia is, I then kind of opted out of local government and decided to put my energy into multi-stakeholder convening. At the time, I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I've really kind of learned as I've been going.
So you're starting your life, I mean, in your career in that sense.
But Ashraf, I think it's really about changing the way in which conversations happen. So my own sense of what happened post-94 is that people went into the corridors of power very well-meaning about we're going to transform society, except for what happened is they ended up being transformed by the corridors of power and by the trappings of the corridors of power. So what I do is, lose hierarchies. I'm not bowing down to any political head in a facilitation. If you're there, I will respect your office and so forth. But like we've done really exciting things. In Limpopo, in Mogalakwena municipality, we've had administrators and officials in a physical tug of war because I don't think we understand. Like, so every time you meet technical officials in any sphere of government, they blame the politicians for why things are not working.
Yeah.
You meet the politicians, they like, well, these bureaucrats don't do their work, right? And so my joy in life now is actually changing the way in which those conversations happen, bringing fun, bringing creativity, but having tough conversations. So we're not skirting the issues, we're actually having the tough conversations.
And they're still impactful because they have to be.
They have to be, and they have to move us to action. I mean, I think one of the things that I do get concerned about is that often they kind of once-off interventions as opposed to an ongoing series so that we can build. And I mean, I think, Ashraf, I've also built a lot of this on the model from the Presencing Institute at MIT with Otto Scharmer, who says that the crisis of our times is actually absencing.
Yeah.
So
let's pause on that because I want to pick up on that. The presence and absencing. It's an important conversation with Rihanna, the barefoot facilitator. Let's now get the news headlines. Just gone 5:30 years, Greg.
Thank you. A quick look at the headlines. Political parties are in the process of finalising the list of witnesses they want to call to appear before Parliament's ad hoc committee set up to probe allegations made by the KZN Police Commissioner. Joburg Metro Police has warned of severe delays on the N1 North before Winnie Mandela Drive near Fourways. That's after a fatal crash. And Swedish activist Greta Thunberg says she's not afraid of Israel as she sails with a global flotilla towards Gaza. There's a full update at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the R59 southbound in Alberton is slow moving towards Michelle Avenue. The N17 westbound in Nasrec has delays at the N1 highway and the M1 southbound queuing towards Boysons. In KZN, the N2 northbound queuing through the construction area of north of Spaghetti Junction. The M4 northbound is queuing towards Virginia Airport, and the N2 northbound in Mhlali is where pedestrian crashes reported before Umvoti Toll Plaza. That's causing delays. In Cape Town, tonight, the Stormers will host Leinster in the opening round of the United Rugby Championship at DHL Stadium this evening, so you're asked to expect delays on local routes. Kloof Road outbound, slow moving through Tamboerskloof, and Van Riebeeck Road southbound in Kuilsriver, queuing at Stellenbosch Arterial Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tumi Nkapele.
Right, naturally, Tumi's been talking, she's wearing a netball top, so there's no question. You cannot not start but talking netball first up, right?
And it's because the baby Proteas are in action today, and they're taking on Australia this evening in the semi-finals of the Netball World Youth Cup. And Coach Precious Mthembu acknowledges the caliber of the opposition, but remains confident in her squad's ability to rise to the occasion.
We need to shift our performance to our next level, preparing what starts tonight with the girls' recovery, ensuring that the mental and physical states are ready to go. I have a great medical team that will take care of them. We respect the quality of the opponent, but, we're really confident on our system, and just want to thank everyone at home for supporting the girls. And, this team has really shown that we play with heart and discipline. We really can compete with the world's best.
Well, there's also some rugby action to look forward to this evening, and Stormers coach John Dobson has entrusted experienced centre Ruan Nel with the captaincy for the United Rugby Championship opener against defending champions Leinster at DHL Stadium tonight. The Cape Side are missing several Springboks and senior players through injury, including regular leaders Samad Murat and Dion Fourie.
Yeah, I think captaincy-wise, obviously the unavailability of Salman and Dion's had an impact on that, and obviously the older narrative around Kitself's retirement, so we sort of lost a bit of leadership. And Nietling's had some, he's only just really joined us. He hasn't played a pre-season game. He's had some personal stuff to deal with. So that left Ruan. It's actually he was really good against the Sharks, and we really enjoyed him as a leader. And I think he's always led our defence. It's an area, and it's also a focus areas for us on this season. So that worked for us.
Well, in terms of football, Soweto Giants, Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates are back in continental club competition action tomorrow, seeing to take a step closer to reach the group phase of their respective competitions. Pirates should have little concern as they host Diodi from neighbouring Lesotho at Orlando Stadium, 3-0 up from that first leg, while Chiefs, there will be plenty of nerves as they look to fight back from their 1-0 loss to Cabo Scorp and Angola last weekend. But in terms of Pirates, they are sweating over the fitness of Relebogile Mofokeng, and this is what coach Abdeslam Wadu had to say when he was asked about his absence.
I have to speak with my medical department to see what is going on. Really, it's important player for us, but if we have to speak with the medical department. I cannot tell you more about him. About the second question, I don't need to see my players more because I know them. I had 2 months, 3 months, and especially in the preparation to see the level of my players. I know them very well. Tomorrow, what I can tell you that we will put a competitive team because it's a very, very important game for me, for the players, and for the club.
In cricket, India and Pakistan will face off in a high-stakes Asia Cup final in Dubai on Sunday, with political and on-field friction overshadowing their first-ever title clash in the regional tournament. Pakistan secured their place in the final after edging past Bangladesh by 11 runs yesterday, setting the stage for a blockbuster meeting with defending champions India. Definitely one to look forward to in terms of this weekend. But before I say goodbye, Ashraf, as per usual, my predictions for this weekend. I'm going to start with the baby Proteas versus Australia. Obviously, it's going to be a tough one because Australia's are the defending champions, but I believe in the baby Proteas. Go South Africa. Springboks versus Argentina. I'm going to go for the Springboks. Then Sekhukhune versus Polokwane City. I think Sekhukhune. Brentford versus Manchester United. I am not yet convinced by Manchester United.
So go for Brentford then.
I'm going for Brentford.
Okay. Phineas is like, look at Phineas here. Right.
And then I'm going to go for India versus Pakistan in terms of cricket. I think India is going to take that one.
And they won the previous round as well, I think, isn't it? In getting to the final. Okay, that's your 5. We'll measure it up and don't not pitch up on a Monday if you get things wrong. Like you did the last time. I noted that.
Listen,
right.
I'm going to apologize in advance if anyone is going to go by whatever I just said. But with that said,
Right to me.
2013 champions, the Little Blues, are searching for victory in the opening match of Group E. However, African champions Amachita want to upset the French by collecting maximum points. Europe takes on Africa. This is the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Catch France versus South Africa this Monday, 29 September at 10 p.m. Live on SABC 1, SABC Plus, and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC radio stations. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, let's wrap up the markets for the week. For the week on as we touch the weekend. Jimmy, what have you got? Okay, do we have it there, Jimmy? Yay? Nay? No, we don't have Jimmy. Okay, what we do have is Rihanna, the barefoot facilitator, and I'll check if we can reconnect with him in just a moment or so. Let me remind you, by the way, even this conversation, so you know it, right, is up as a podcast and will be posted on the SAFM website, so safm.co.za, as well as just about every other conversation of real meaning that we have every single day. So check it out, listen, download it, share with your chommies, use it as the basis of conversations all throughout the weekend. Because as you know, on the basis of what we said earlier on, why people listen, or my Uber driver said, I listen to SAFM, Takalani, that's his name. I listen to SAFM because I just learn as I drive every single day. Right, we'll connect with Rihanna as well as the markets right after this.
Hi,
I'm Zycard. Catch me every Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. on Spotlight as we bring you blow-by-blow sporting action, news. That's Spotlight every Saturday. You don't want to miss it.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, we now do have Jimmy Moya. Jimmy, what do you have? Last show for the week.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Good afternoon to the listeners. Some good news, some bad news. Bad news mainly around the Brent crude price, $70, 60 cents a barrel. We've gone above the $70 mark, but that's likely due to the ongoing tensions between the Ukraine and Russia, alongside the declining inventories that we're seeing out of the U.S. being reported. So that's giving rise to a stronger oil price, which is not good for us for petrol price reasons, but from a commodities perspective, the gold price, $3,780 odd a fine ounce, platinum $1,583, palladium $1,315. All of the commodity prices are on the up, and that's contributed towards resources being up almost 3% on the day's trade, up 2.9%. Industrials up 0.4%. Financials lagging behind, down 0.25%. Despite that, the top 40 up more than 1%. The all share up 0.85% on the day. So closing out the week in positive territory at all-time highs, and we're almost above 100,000 points on the top 40. We breached 100,000 points on the all share a couple of weeks ago. We're almost above that on the top 40. If we look at the rand, it has started fighting back against the US dollar. It was at 1740 odd yesterday. We're at 1734 at the moment against the US dollar. So a stronger rand there. Against the British pound, 23 rand 26, 1 euro 20 rand and 30 cents, 1 Australian dollar 11 rand and 35. One Bitcoin is now below 110,000 US dollars per coin, still above the 1.9 million rand mark, but not as high as we thought it would be. If we look at the international markets before we go, the Nasdaq, the only market in the US that is in the red at the moment, down 0.25%, whilst the Dow's up about a third and the S&P up about a 0.15% at the moment. If we look at European markets, they were trading all through the green, with the FTSE the biggest gain at 0.7% there. The DAX up 2/3%. If we look at Asian markets, they were by and large in the red. The only market that finished in the green on that side of the world was the ASX in Sydney. So going into next week, we're wrapping up the trading month of September. We're starting off the month of October, which is effectively the last leg of the quarter of this year. November then comes through, and December is a very slim trading month, so we should see quite a bit of movement from a market perspective. We got our rates decisions out of the US and South Africa this month. We'll see how they filter into market movements going into next month. But for now, big win going into the weekend. The rand is below 17 rand 50. The all share is making new record highs, as is the top 40. So going into next week, we're starting off the week hopefully in a positive space. But we'll come back next week. For now, Ashraf, back to you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Well, we'll hold you to that. Monday is when we'll continue chatting. There we are, right, with Jimmy Moya. But we have Rihanna, the barefoot facilitator, with us up to 6 o'clock.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
There's a couple of anonymous people, and I can't read it out. They don't want me to read it, but they want to connect with you. And there's a few people who are praising you, and they don't want to be read out on air, so they want to connect with you. Let's leave it at that for now, right? Let's just continue talking about the barefoot facilitator. So you said, coming out of Joburg City, and well, why do you call yourself that, the barefoot facilitator?
So, Ashraf, initially the company was called Rihanna Musaji Consulting, and I was going through some stuff on the personal side. I was facilitating one day in the city of Tshwane. It was interesting. It was a red lipstick event, and I don't do red lipstick generally.
Yeah.
But I had kicked off my shoes in that event, and I was looking for another name for the company. And when I checked, the domain was available, and immediately said, actually, but I think barefoot facilitator is about a lot more than the fact that I do literally facilitate barefoot. So when I'm doing a facilitation, I will be barefoot. It is about a philosophy. It is about being grounded. It is about being humble. It is about understanding the sacredness of Mother Earth. And it is about democratizing the spaces I facilitate in, and creating space for a variety of perspectives, and bringing in voices that historically don't come into rooms where power gathers.
Yeah. So I mean, you're right. It's grounded, but also barefoot also comes across as like it's naked, which means you're vulnerable, right?
Yeah,
for many people, and you have that space for that. So in terms of your consulting, therefore, what type of consultative work do you do, and who do you do it for?
So Ashraf, I don't think I'm a consultant. I think I've decided that very much. I'm a facilitator, and I.
What's the difference? The way you see it?
So I mean, I think consultancies really kind of look at people's problems and then advise them what to do. That's not what I do. I really listen to my clients, whether they are public sector, private sector, academia, NGO, and sometimes all of them in one room. But, what is the client's objective for a session? And I listen quite deeply to that. I then spend a lot of time. So I often say to my clients, when you see me at the actual workshop, meeting, or event, you're going to wonder, why are we paying this woman? Because a lot of my work is actually before the event. So looking at the objectives, then designing a methodological approach that gets them to the objective, but in ways that people don't necessarily see it initially. But over and over, the feedback we've gotten from these sessions is that it works. When you get adults to play with difficult issues, you free them up, in fact, to be more solution-seeking.
Okay. And when you say play, like, what does play mean, play with difficult issues?
So, Ashraf, let's take something as simple as building a 17-piece puzzle of Southern Africa and South Africa, right? I sometimes start with that in a workshop. And either different people get different pieces, or different groups all get pieces, and we see who can win. And just that notion of we cannot build this country if we build a single province and one province wants to stand out as the star province. That different provinces actually have their own strength points, right? And the minute we do this puzzle building, a lot emerges. So there are many, many different methodologies. I mean, my signature methodology, interestingly, comes from the transport sector, came through an actual facilitation I was doing. One of my signature methodologies is Mind the Gap. I think if you look at any problem in South Africa, you dissect it to its lowest common denominator, it's actually a gap in perspective, a gap in understanding, whether it's racial gaps, whether it's gaps of geography, so suburbs versus townships, whether it's gender gaps, whatever those gaps may be. And my facilitation style is to enable people to bridge those gaps through the so-called play activities, but they're really actually very serious activities.
Of course,
right?
yeah. And it works.
Well, thus far, every time I've facilitated, it's worked.
Right. Listen, let's talk about other things. I mean, because I want to pick your brain about many things, right? What about your personality? I mean, give me 3 distinct words that reflects your personality. Not sentences, just words. Yeah.
That's an interesting.
And she's lost for words, strangely enough.
So my signature for the Barefoot Facilitator is actually shh.
Yes.
Okay, and shh stands for soul, heart, head, and hands. And Ashraf, I think I raise it in that way because we live in a society that prizes the work of the head over other forms of work. Okay, we don't necessarily value the work that people do with their hands. The manual labor that makes our country work is often unseen. The work of the heart, the work of caring for society, mostly done by women, by the way, often goes financially unrewarded, unseen. So I think if I had to think of my 3 words, peace is very much one of them. Joy is another one. And connection is definitely up.
Peace, joy, and connection sums you up. What about, so I want to ask you a few things, and I don't want to have a long chat because there's not enough time, but just a quick take on it. Joburg City, like one line.
Leadership.
Absence, or that's what it needs.
It needs the ability to understand that city government is not the only player in this amazing city that has, Father Trevor Huddleston has written a beautiful piece that it takes a particular kind of person to love Johannesburg because Johannesburg's energy is raw. Johannesburg is tough, Ashraf, a few years ago, I mean, I'm digressing, but I read the book The Blinded City. And it left me in tears, actually, because I think, and it actually left me quite depressed for a couple of weeks at the scale of challenge that rapid urbanization unmanaged is bringing the city, the extent to which the underworld is actually taking over the running of the city. And quite frankly, you know, this is not just about politics. There has to be a much deeper understanding of what is happening at community level, what is happening in different localities, how much agency there is in communities. How do we harness the agency of communities to solve their own challenges, and then government comes in as a partner, not government as the big brother.
Well, you know, I often talk about building a champion community to build a champion nation, and sometimes I talk about it, but I'm not prescriptive enough about what we need to do. I mean, you think it can be done if you essentially circle or ring fence a community and say, we're going to fix this place up, and then extend that to others.
Well, I think people are already doing it, Ashraf. People are doing it of their own accord. In our crises, whether it's load shedding or the recent issues with water or, you know, crumbling infrastructure, all of that, we're seeing communities step up in very interesting ways. And I think what's really exciting is that the stronger the networks are in a community, the more chance of success. So in fact, Ashraf, I've just started a new venture. As part of the Barefoot Facilitator brand, I get to facilitate in all kinds of places, but my deepest desire has to have a facilitation venue that is congruent with my style of facilitation. It's called the Barefoot Space, and it's actually an experiment in exactly this.
Okay.
If we were able to bring a range of NGOs, social enterprises, private businesses, public sector, academia, in a geography of neighborhoods that are adjacent to each other, and we started to collectively vision and work on the most pressing challenges, what becomes possible. It's an experiment.
Well,
can we change financial flows in Joburg? I believe we can, but we'll see.
She's still very confident, and that's wonderful. More to come from Rihanna, the Barefoot Facilitator, after this.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195, and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Four-time World Rugby champions, the Springboks are gunning for an essential win. However, Los Pumas are pumped up to shock the global champs. This is the Rugby Championship. Experience world-class rugby action. South Africa collides with Argentina this Saturday, 27 September at 10:05 p.m. Live on SABC radio stations. All SABC radio stations are available on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Mzansi, play Powerball for a massive 90 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday, and you could win big, just like the Lucky Powerball Plus jackpot winner, who won over 69 million rand on Tuesday. The winning ticket was purchased in-store in Mpangeni, KwaZulu-Natal. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Right. Public transport, what's the one thing you'd want to give the most attention to now? And I know what you feel. You feel strongly about it, right?
It needs to be integrated, Ashraf. The other day I tried the wonderful new Prasa trains from Langlaagte to Park Station. I don't ever carry cash, right? I have to scrounge around for R7.50 to pay for my train ticket in 2025. And I have to carry a Rea Vaya ticket and a Gautrain ticket. And if I go to Tshwane, I have to carry Ekurhuleni, a Harambee ticket, and in Tshwane, an Arayeng ticket. And
So
then
it's
I've
not
got a My
integrated.
City one in my bag if I go to Cape Town. Crazy
It's
stuff.
like having 5 remote controls for your television.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
In this day and
what
age,
it is.
no.
Yeah. Okay. Government of National Unity?
The jury is out yet. I think we have two big issues in this country that if we all put our collective energy into. How do we create a safer South Africa? How do we create a South Africa where prosperity is shared and is not sitting in the hands of a few who are holding on very, very tightly to historically where the economy was? And if we all could come to those two issues with a sense of this is not about us, this is about what we leave for subsequent generations, our children and grandchildren. And yes, it's not going to be easy. And yes, we're starting on minus something now. We're no longer at 0.0. We're at minus something. But can we just drop the political egos and the political grandstanding? And can we find, and there are just so many bright young South Africans who want to make this country work. Can we find them? Can we listen to them? And can we give them the opportunity? Can politicians keep quiet for a bit and listen to those who have ideas?
National dialogue?
I haven't followed it, Ashraf, quite honestly. I am...
This is the national dialogue.
I am quite intrigued by what if we did local, very localized dialogues where people are talking about the issues that are very specific to their areas. And these may differ from one area to another. And the players who come together and the mix of people will differ. We are not going to solve this country's issues from a national level. It is not going to happen.
Yeah, true. Give me a book, 1, 2, 3 books if you like, but very quickly that you'd strongly recommend we must be reading.
So, Ashraf, I don't have a specific recommendation. I think the book that I particularly kind of go back to over and over is the Quran, because one can approach it at so many different levels, and every time one is kind of comes to it afresh with new eyes and new challenges, and you see it again. I actually think, there are like the book Cyril Learns to Read, or Jacqueline's little book.
They're gems.
Let's just begin to read things by community-based authors. I think Dr. Zahira Jina Aswad and some of the work she's done, where people see themselves in these stories. There's there are just so many people beginning to write now.
I think you're so right about the community-based things, because you do see yourself. What about, so give a shout out to a young person.
So there are two young people who, in the last couple of months, well, one I've just met, the other one I've known for about a year or two. But I really want to give a shout out to three. Interestingly, they're all male, but
right,
it's okay. Dr. Sandile Mbata, Chief Data Officer, he was at Cocta, now set up his own data company. Amazing, talking about evidence-based decision-making. Prof. Zach Kambule, who I've only met last week when I was facilitating a session for the Alan and Jill Gray Philanthropy South Africa. Phenomenal, interesting young man working with a framework called Connect 10 and what needs to happen for an entrepreneurship ecosystem to thrive. And let's stop blaming the entrepreneurs, let's fix the ecosystem. And then Bulelani Ndebele, who I've worked with formerly of the CSIR. I think you've had Bulelani on your show, who's really warning us about water, and let's change our relationship with water, and let's think about how we consume and use water. And so those are three young people I want to give a shout out to.
Who's the one, I need to get him on again, who's the one, older person that you'd like to take out to lunch? It hasn't happened.
I certainly think Dr. Naledi Pandor. I think, given, hearing her speak with such conviction about her own ethics and morality. And I think it's interesting, Ashraf, that we've kind of reduced the conversation around ethics and morality to political parties. Yeah. Yet across the board, there's rot. And across the board, there are people who are genuine about service to country and to people. And so it would have to be Dr. Naledi Pandor.
What is, we've touched on it to a degree, but what is your purpose?
So definitely my purpose is connection, but it's deeper than just connecting people.
Okay.
It's connecting to my creator, connecting to being the best version of myself in any given situation.
Okay. And I asked you, to a degree, I've asked you this as part of our Champion South Africa campaigns. How do you champion South Africa?
Well, Ashraf, as I said, I feel immensely blessed for the opportunities that this beautiful land has afforded me. And so I'm always just very, very grateful to say, I'm South African, I'm African, proudly so.
And we're glad that you're in this space and not anywhere else. Absolutely. Right, two things. You have one question to ask the president. What would you ask him?
Why don't you listen more than you talk?
Okay, some say he doesn't talk enough anyway, right? Well, let's end with this. How would you like to be remembered?
Peacemaker.
Just as a peacemaker. And in terms of your legacy now, you think your legacy is what?
No, I think it's still coming.
Okay. The peacemaker with a legacy that's still coming. Rihanna, the Barefoot Facilitator, great to connect with you.
Thanks,
we need to
Ashraf.
come to the Barefoot space, as you said.
Well, you are invited, your whole team here. You are all invited.
Maybe
so,
we'll put the whole SAFM team and say, hey,
please
guys, we
do
invited.
come.
Let's
It's
see
up
what
the
happens.
road from you. So
okay,
please
now
do
they
come.
now they know. Thanks for being a guest here
Thank you,
on the
Ashraf.
Fireside Chat here. And we'll do it again, well, next week, of course, you know that. But this will be put up as a podcast as well pretty soon. Right now, let's get the news. It's 6 o'clock. Here's Greg.
SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily.